countryside, I saw him ride. One day they found him.
Is Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Ben Johnson, one of the hottest names this NFL head coaching hiring cycle, is going to run it back with the Lions. The team's offensive coordinator informed them he'll stay with Detroit, wants another shot at winning a Super Bowl with the Lions. ESPN NFL reporter Dan Graziano.
His job right now is good. There's no reason to think Detroit won't have a good offense again next year, and maybe something will line up with him and another team next year, because as we know, there will be more openings. There always are.
Dan Graziano on Carlin versus Joe. Johnson has 2 years left on his Lions deal. His contract was not adjusted to convince him to stay, reports ESPN's Adam Schefter. The Steelers hiring former Falcons head coach Arthur Smith as their offensive coordinator. He takes over a Pittsburgh offense that averaged nearly 18 points a game in 2023. The NCAA is investigating the University of Tennessee for violations related to name, image, and likeness. The Vols are fresh off an NCAA ruling last summer where they were charged with 18 Level 1 violations and fined a record $8 million. NBA 76ers center Joel Embiid dealing with knee soreness, uncertain against the Warriors tonight.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Cannon. Coming up Wednesday, I'll tell you why any trade my Lakers make won't impact how their season ends. It's unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And Mr. Toby Tom Play. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. We got Shea Dixon in 1 hour. Talk some Cruton. The return of Lee Feinswog. The Pels are swooning. Jake Madison will be here in hour number 3. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
All right, we got a lot to get to today, and we'll check all the boxes. But there is a little news as it pertains to one of the decisions we've been waiting on for a long time, seemingly a relatively long time anyway. The Saints appear to be getting closer to hiring an offensive coordinator. And there's a little bit of news as I'll kind of go through it today. There's several candidates as they've apparently started to pare down the list of finalists here as they get closer to naming somebody. And earlier in the day, or late last night, I guess, Nick Underhill tweeted that the Saints search for an offensive coordinator has narrowed considerably. They have honed in on their candidates and are adhering to league rules as they go through the process. So Nick tweets that the Saints are getting close. They're narrowing down their list. They're honing in on their candidates. Well, then we find out today that the Saints have a new candidate on the list that they're looking to interview. It was Tom Pelissero who had it first earlier today that the New Orleans Saints were set to interview a Ravens assistant, Greg Lewis, their wide receiver coach, for the offensive coordinator job. He notes Lewis is a former NFL receiver who won 2 Super Bowls on Andy Reid's staff in Kansas City before joining Baltimore this past season. So, connecting all the dots here, we keep waiting for the Saints to make an announcement. Apparently, they're paring down the list. Then we hear a new name. And then Albert Breer, just a bit ago, tweeted that ex-Bears offensive coordinator Luke Getsy is in New England today interviewing with the Patriots and will have a second interview for the Saints OC job tomorrow, Wednesday, in New Orleans. So Getsy isn't a name we've talked about, but that's a guy who apparently is about to get his second interview with the Saints. And now the Saints have added Greg Lewis to their list, their ever-growing list, as supposedly, reportedly, they're paring their list down. So what do we make of all this? I don't know. I wonder if the Saints are being thorough, which is fine, by the way. If you are being thorough, I'm perfectly good with that. There's no need to rush a hire. You're not playing a game tomorrow. I mean, you have a contingent at the Senior Bowl doing scouting. You've got combine coming up and draft and all that stuff. And yeah, you'd love to have your OC in place to get input there, but it's not critical today to have your OC hire. So if you're being thorough so you don't settle, okay, I'm good with that. But I can't decide if they're being thorough or if they're being indecisive. Like, follow me along here. There are 3 known candidates that are no longer on the board. Dan Pitcher, the Cincinnati Bengals quarterbacks coach, has been elevated to offensive coordinator. Shane Waldron, who was with the Seahawks, has taken the OC job in Chicago. And Zach Robinson, who is with the Rams, has taken the OC job in Atlanta. So it's 3 known candidates who are no longer on the board. And then there's this whole other list of candidates that we know the Saints have interviewed or are going to interview. Gerard Johnson, the quarterbacks coach in Houston, is interviewed twice. We've heard Clint Kubiak and Brian Griese. Ronald Curry is the in-house candidate. Mike Sullivan with the Steelers. Brian Johnson, who was just let go in Philly. And now Greg Lewis with Baltimore. Then there's this one-off of John Gruden that keeps getting mentioned, but doesn't seem like there's any real legitimacy to that. But I guess we'll follow it and see. Maybe the Saints are waiting on Kubiak and or Griese. They're both coaching with the 49ers. The 49ers are still playing. Maybe this week is when they can make some type of formal overtures toward them interview. We'll see. I don't know. If that's the case, and those are the guys that you're really waiting to talk to, and you had to wait until you found a moment when you could, okay, good. That's being thorough. That's being patient. That's waiting for your guy, and I'm okay with that. But if that's not the case, the longer you wait, you're not making the decision. The decision is made for you. The longer you wait and coaches take other jobs, your list starts to narrow and starts to get pared down, not by your doing, but by the fact that other teams have hired desirable candidates. And, we've talked about this enough, and I do wonder how much there is to it, but are the Saints handcuffed here because they're not a desirable job? Yes, they are. This is an NFL offensive coordinator job, and there are going to be candidates that want this Saints OC job, but candidates who have options are more likely to pick better options than a New Orleans team that very well could have a lame duck coach and an aging quarterback that isn't great. I mean, there's a lot of unrest around the organization. Listen, Michael Thomas tweeting about how nobody wants to be the offensive coordinator, while that stings, and you never want to air your dirty laundry in public. You do that in-house. There's probably a hint or hints of truth to that. Like, not to say nobody wants it, but yeah, I'd imagine you would have a harder time finding an offensive coordinator in New Orleans than you would in Chicago, where they're going to have the number 1 overall pick, or with the Rams, where they do have great offenses, or like Zach Robinson going with Raheem Morris to Atlanta, where they're getting a fresh start. You very well, any OC could be taking this job, understanding that it could be a 1-year deal and you're packing up and moving again somewhere else if Dennis Allen gets fired. And so much is going to be dictated to you because the quarterback's already in place. So there's a lot of variables with this job. And I don't know where the wheel ultimately is going to stop spinning and land. If it is Greg Lewis, quick thumbnail on him. Greg Lewis's path is actually a lot like Cortez Hankton's. Played professional football for about a decade. They're both about the same age. Hankton's 42. Greg Lewis is 43. Lewis, you might remember, played for the Eagles, Patriots, and Vikings. When he played for the Eagles, he was in that Super Bowl against the Patriots, the one with Donovan McNabb and the one where T.O. came off the broken leg to play in the Super Bowl. He actually had a touchdown reception in that game, by the way. But in any event, got into coaching about a decade ago, was at University of San Diego, then San Jose State, then Pitt, and then his first NFL job actually was in New Orleans as an offensive assistant on Sean Payton's staff back in 2015. And then he went to the Eagles, then spent 6 years with the Chiefs, won a couple of Super Bowls, and this year was his first year in Baltimore with the Ravens. So former NFL receiver who's been coaching in the NFL since 2015, has familiarity with New Orleans and with Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen has familiarity with him. So there's a lot of things there that make sense about it, but are you hiring a first-time play caller, which a lot of the guys on this list would be first-time play callers. Gerard Johnson, Clint Kubiak, Brian Griese, Ronald Curry, Greg Lewis. So the other three we mentioned, Dan Pitcher, Zach Robinson, those guys would be first-time play callers at this level. So, again, Nick Underhill's reporting the Saints have narrowed down their search, and they're nearing in on a decision, and that's great. But it also feels a bit counterintuitive when they're introducing or we're learning about new candidates now as they're paring down their list. But maybe they're there, maybe they're close. Maybe they're waiting on the San Francisco guys. The new name today is Greg Lewis. And again, the report just a bit ago is that they have a second interview planned with Luke Getsy, the former Bears offensive coordinator. Where this wheel stops, I guess we'll find out soon enough. My only question, are you being thorough or are you being indecisive? If you're being thorough, that's fine. If you're being indecisive, I think that continues to speak to one of the things that is plaguing this organization under the leadership of Dennis Allen. Eventually going to have to make a decision. Make a good one, because it could be the last OC that Dennis Allen hires as the Saints head coach if he screws it up. Okay, it's After Further Review. Our show open every day is brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, the official beer of the LSU Tigers. Drink easy in Louisiana. Lady Tigers had a tough loss last night in Starkville, but no worries. You want to drink away those sorrows, you can do so with an awesome national championship bottle. The first women's basketball team ever to have their own beer bottle. It's the LSU women's basketball. It's got the national championship logo. It's beautifully designed. Purple with the tiger head, the Bud Light logo, the LSU women's basketball national championship logo. Find it at great local retailers all around. Or if you're at the Maravich Center, if you're over at the PMAC watching a basketball game, you can find them there as well. Drink easy with the champs and Bud Light, the official beer of AFR and the official beer of LSU Athletics. Okay, y'all, it's After Further Review. Our Tuesday shows are powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Do have a quick thought on the LSU women losing last night at Mississippi State. Not going to spend a ton of time on it, but I thought Kim Mulkey had some insightful words after the game. She's candid, if nothing else, and I think she nailed it with her team. Why wouldn't she know her team? But I still think the arrow's pointing up, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Also, in 47 minutes, Shea Dixon's going to join us. LSU today has a 5-star safety, the number one safety in the country for 2025 on campus. And y'all doubted Corey Raymond. Idiots. All right, it's After Further Review. We'll continue next.
AFR.
Love telling you about Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Segan near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Don Moore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. You know where to find them at any of those 4 locations. And, of course, it is the perfect time to plant trees. If you want trees, fruit trees, shrubs, this is the time to get them in the ground. So just plant something. If you want vegetable seeds, they've got Johnny Naylor seeds. There are none better than Johnny Naylor seeds, and Clegg's has them at all 4 locations. So get on by any of the 4 Clegg's Nursery locations and shop today. Hey, look, I know it may seem weird because it's cold and we're in the 30s last night, but my goodness, they have camellias are in color at the Garden Center right now. It is a great time to shop. They got a new shipment today of Weeks roses. They're there and potted. So get on by and shop them today at Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local at Clegg's Nursery.
His name was Cain. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
She thinks my tractor's sexy. It really turns her on.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
This game was one that's not surprising with the outcome, honestly. When you play a game on the road after a big game like we had with South Carolina, you kind of watch your team and see how they reacted. And we played in spurts again. You know, we had the lead and we did some things early, and then again in the second half, we can't seem to defensively get stops with this team when they matter. That's how we lost the South Carolina game. You have to make stops at this level, and we don't seem to be doing it.
That was Kim Mulkey. The LSU women lost their second consecutive game. It's their third loss in 5 games. They went to Starkville and lost to Mississippi State 77-73. Got down, rallied, and the rally fell short. That's the short story for it. I had a coach, great coach, Coach Dale Weiner. Many of you know, just legendary high school coach in Louisiana. Amazing man, husband, father, just one of the greatest men that I've ever had the great pleasure to meet. But one of the things he used to always tell us is never let a loss one week prevent victory the next. And that's so appropriate, not only for us as high school football players back in the day, but literally in any sport, and honestly in life. It's just another way of saying, move on to the next, live in the moment, live in the present, prepare for the now. And we see this all the time. When I saw that game last night, Look, last Thursday was incredible. And I listen, we're not like a real big women's basketball show. I don't break down the team or the games all the time. You know that. Like there's an old radio saying that's known as play the hits. You talk about the things that everybody's talking about. Well, when number 1 South Carolina comes to town and there's people lined up on the ramps and tailgating hours before the game and College game day's there and it's a top 10 matchup and it's packed and it's a whiteout, like, yeah, you better believe we're going to talk about that. That's what everybody's talking about. But when you have a moment like that, win or lose, it's natural to have an emotional letdown. How many times did we talk about that over the last 15 years with LSU and Alabama in football? LSU would get sky high to play Alabama. And win or lose, the next week you'd have that letdown. God, was there any worse than 2014? 2014, LSU's sky high. They play Alabama. It goes to overtime. Remember Blake Sims? LSU had the game won. You had the personal foul, kicked the ball out of bounds. Blake Sims leads the touchdown drive. Bama sends it to overtime. And then we know they win in overtime. And then a week later, LSU went on the road to an Arkansas team that hadn't won a conference game in like 3 years on a cold day in Fayetteville, and you got punked. They just carried it over into the next week. I mean, how many times did you play Bama, and then the next week you had a Towson or somebody like that come in, and you just weren't up for it? It's hard to get up every week. I get it. So it was natural to think you'd have a letdown effect. When Jimmy talks about it from a gambling perspective, when he's with us, it's the court rush theory. Like when a team has a big win and their fans rush the court, always bet against them the next time out because you're going to have a natural letdown. So this was a letdown spot. You know, how do you prevent against a letdown? Experience. Get used to playing in and winning big games so it doesn't take you on this emotional roller coaster. And that's what's happening with this team right now. And Kim Mulkey talked about it. It's number 2. She was asked, what's the main cause of the defensive problems? And yeah, it's depth and it's experience.
I'm not one to make excuses, but sometimes I need to step back and go, that's a freshman out there. That's a sophomore out there. That's a new player out there. And I think everybody just gets caught up into their rankings or gets caught up into how great they are. At the end of the day, experience matters. And when you don't have experience on the floor, you lack leadership. And if you lack leadership, you tend to lack a little bit of chemistry when things get tough. And I think it's more of that than anything on the defensive end. Everybody starts getting focused on their man or they ball watch. So it's a little bit of everything. I don't think it's just one thing on the defensive end.
Look, you've got young players that are growing up. You are, as the national champion, getting everybody's best shot. You are thin with Kateri Poole getting kicked off the team and Samaya Smith going down with a season-ending injury. It's all the things everyone said. You don't have a true point guard, but my goodness, Haley Van Lith is incredible. I mean, she's a 2-guard that's learning to play the point because Alexis Morris graduated. So they've got tons of talent. They can score, and they're going to be fine. You just got to realize it's going to be one of those seasons where there's road bumps as this team grows up and grows up together as well. So next up, they're home against Florida, and then you're at Vanderbilt, home against Bama, at A&M, so you volley home and away. You got a big game in Knoxville coming up later this month on the 25th, and you'll finish with Georgia, Kentucky, and then off to the SEC tournament. So, March is you're still 5-6 weeks away from March and having to start to look toward postseason play. So you got plenty of time to continue to get better together, and figure it out. So tough loss for the women last night on the road, but hopefully you use that loss to make you better moving forward. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Speaking of coming up, y'all, we are 2 weeks away from Valentine's Day. If you have not taken care of the lady in your life yet, gentlemen, Lee Michaels is ready to help. You can get by any of their 10 locations, 2 in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport. They've got locations in Mississippi and in Texas as well. You can always go to lmfj.com. That's the website, lmfj.com. Thrill her with a beautiful diamond in that red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Maybe it's a bracelet or a pendant or a watch. It's such an amazing variety. But, gentlemen, if you're thinking of popping the question, Lee Michaels has helped Baton Rouge and all of the state of Louisiana get engaged for more than 40 years. Go where you're going to have the experience. You walk in and they offer you a beverage, chocolates on a tray. Every single diamond is hand inspected by a family member before it goes into the case. They don't have what you want. They can custom make a piece of jewelry for you. If you go old-fashioned and buy it without her seeing it and she doesn't absolutely love it, they have an exchange policy. They want her to love it. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. LMFJ.com, LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Senior Bowl is going on in Mobile. By the way, shout out Jake and T-Bob are there all week, through Thursday, I should say, courtesy of MMR Group and anchoring our coverage from the Senior Bowl. Some great stuff. They had Michael Penix on with him today, Sam Hartman. It's one of the great things about having a presence at that event is because there isn't a massive media or radio presence. You kind of get to talk to everybody. So they're going to get to talk to, all the stars at the Senior Bowl this week. So it's really cool. Make sure you're locked in this week on OTB to catch Jake and T-Bob on Radio Row from the Senior Bowl. So we'll get coverage there all week. There's 2 LSU Tigers participating, as you may well know. Charles Turner and Jordan Jefferson are the 2 that accepted invites and are trying to improve their draft stock. And the Saints sent a big contingent as well. But there are some guys there who we thought at some point might have been there, but aren't. Naturally, Jaden Daniels decided to forego the Senior Bowl. It looks like he's going to be, by all accounts, a top 5 pick, possibly as high as number 2. There are some people that could get a wild hair and say, hey, what if Chicago has the number 1 pick and decides Jaden Daniels is that guy? He could go number 1. So I can understand to that end. Jaden will have his day in front of all these teams and doesn't necessarily need to be there. Same goes for Malik Neighbors, who I understand is a junior. But Malik Neighbors is a guy that this season has skyrocketed up draft boards. And Mel Kiper Jr. was a guest on First Draft. It's a podcast with Field Yates over at ESPN. And they started talking about Neighbors and Daniels first. Here was Mel Kiper talking about the improvement Malik Neighbors has made from his sophomore year to his junior year.
When I look at him last year, he wasn't the guy he was this year. 2023 season, you talk about what he was able to do for Jaden Daniels. He can be in the slot. He can be outside. This is a kid who was remarkable this season in terms of not dropping passes and producing big play after big play. And he loves to play the game of football. I've always spoken about how much of a baller he is, how tough, how physical, how reliable he is. The improvement he showed this year was dramatic. You see the touchdown improvement, the average per catch, everything up, making plays, stretching it, taking top off of defense, wanting the ball at clutch moments. When they needed him the most, game after game, Field, he did it.
Malik Neighbors was awesome. He leaves LSU as the all-time leader in receptions and receiving yards. And what a season for Neighbors. 89 receptions, 1,569 yards, and 14 touchdowns. And for his efforts, he has skyrocketed up draft boards and made himself a ton of money. And then one more. Here was Kiper on Jaden Daniels. And this was, I'm interested in, as we go through the draft process and get closer, I am going to ask a lot of draft analysts this. I'm going to ask about the single season rise from where you were the year before to where you end up going. You're going to hear Mel say, well, play the cut and then I'll come back. He was asked about, could you think of a year where there was a single season rise like this?
When you look at the ability he had to stress a defense, and you saw him in the SEC running away from defensive backs, just seeing the field. I think his vision is seeing the field and being able to throw with his eyes up on the move and being able to take hit after hit. He was about 205 maybe, Field. He played at 180 at times during his career, but he did add weight to the frame. We were talking about a 4th rounder last year, now the 2nd, 3rd pick overall, and I love the fact that he takes shots and he doesn't throw interceptions. He runs, he's aggressive, he doesn't fumble the football. We needed to see certain things, we did. Jaden Daniels, to me, is right in line to be that 2nd pick overall, at worst a 3rd pick. And like I said, no player that I remember at quarterback went from a 4th rounder to the 2nd pick overall and did that type of a quantum leap in one season.
You know, the most interesting thing about it, though, is we did see this with Joe Burrow. And I understand Mel has looked at thousands and thousands and thousands of prospects over so many decades. But, I mean, Joe Burrow wasn't a 4th round pick. Joe Burrow was thought to be like a late day 3 undrafted free agent type prospect and then skyrocketed up draft boards all the way to number 1 overall. So maybe he wasn't prepared to answer the question, but this isn't altogether unprecedented. Hell, it's not unprecedented for an LSU quarterback. But it does speak to how more often you see things go the other way, right? The guy that before the season starts, you think, oh, he could be the number 1 overall pick, and then they fall. Spencer Rattler is a great example of that. Spencer Rattler is a guy who, before he left Oklahoma, was thought to be a potential number 1 overall pick, lost his job to Caleb Williams, and then ends up playing 2 more years at South Carolina. Matt Barkley was one of those guys who probably would have been a top 5 pick, decided to come back to school, plummeted in the draft. We see more of that than we do the other way. Guys that just skyrocket all the way up from off the board to number 1, top 5 overall pick. So Mel Kiper just with a couple of thoughts there on the First Draft podcast with Phil Yates if you want to check it out wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. SunEquip.com, SunEquip.com. Get that tractor, y'all. It's side-by-side, zero-turn mowers, gators for all you hunters as well. Nothing runs like a Jeer. SunEquip.com, SunEquip.com. Let me not get a break, y'all. We'll come back. We will go around the SEC. If you have not heard, Tennessee is back in the NCAA's crosshairs, and I think I know why. We're going to talk about it. It's AFR.
AFR.
Love telling you about Rouse's. Y'all, it is king cake season, carnival season, and if you have a family member or loved one who's living out of town and you want to send them a piece of home this carnival season, maybe you got clients in other parts of the country or the world, let Rouse's help. Go to Rouse's.com, easy, just Rouse's.com. Right there on the homepage of the website, on the flipper, you'll see where you can ship king cakes anywhere in the country or the world. My personal favorite, of course, the plain cinnamon. I don't need no filling. Y'all can keep it. But if you want your gourmet king cakes with all the filling, you can get that as well at Rouse's and ship it anywhere in the world to family, friends, colleagues, clients. Give them a little taste of carnival anywhere, courtesy of Rouse's. Go to Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com, or the Rouse's app, and you can ship your king cakes anywhere in the country or the world. Rouse's, they always source locally whenever they can. Great local market. It's Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's, this feels like home.
Happy New Year from your friends at Front to Back Boat Service. And what better way to kick off your new year than by taking your boat to the next level? Get the boat of your dreams, and that's where Front to Back comes into play. You want that spot lock trolling motor that's going to keep you right there on the water where you need to be. How about some forward-facing sonar that actually shows you the fish before you even cast? Custom stereo jobs, all of it. Sherman family's been doing it for 38 years. Go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Look at her face, she ain't a fooling me. She thinks my track.
After further review powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and MMR bring you live coverage of the 2024 Reese's Senior Bowl. Our team of T-Bob Hebert and Jacob Hester hosts Off the Bench live from Mobile, Alabama, Monday, January 29th through Thursday, February 1st. And our coverage is brought to you locally by MMR. Listen on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, and you can watch on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel.
Oh, I like that song, Muse. What's that one called?
This is She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy.
Oh, it's a catchy title.
By Kenny Chesney, yeah.
Oh, okay. You have to put a little star next to that one, Muse. Maybe we'll bring it back sometime.
All right. You like it that much, huh?
I do.
Wow.
Look, I mean, maybe it's one of those things where you hear it. You know what they say, Muse? Whenever you find a hit, you can listen to it over and over and over and over and over and over again. Like, that's what a lot of the record label execs used to do. They play a song and they do you never get tired of it? Does it stick in your head? Do you want to keep hearing it? That's when they know they have a hit. We'll test it.
Okay.
We'll see if we got it.
I'm glad I think we found one finally. You kind of been like, the Judds, not good. Don't play the Judds anymore. There was another one you're like, that's too slow. I'm glad we found one.
Let me hear a little more there. Yeah, it's good speed. I like it. Good little melody. Our guy Greg Lehman on the text chain over here said, hey, did Muso get a haircut?
I did get a haircut today, yes.
Oh, that's very observant. I wouldn't know, Muse, because I only ever see you wearing a hat.
That's not true.
Paulie, is that true?
I'm not wearing a hat right now, and I didn't wear a hat yesterday or
is that true, Paulie?
Or last week.
It's true. It's true.
It's not true.
Yeah. All I ever see you wear is a hat, Muse. I don't think I've ever seen you without a hat.
That is
like, can you imagine if you were
inaccurate.
walking down the street and you saw Kid Rock without his fedora on? That's what this feels like right now. I barely even recognize you. I had to look to make sure that wasn't Beck sitting over there.
I didn't wear a hat yesterday. Beck had a hat on today.
Well, I know, but I've seen him without a hat.
I didn't have a hat on yesterday.
I've never seen you without a hat.
Or
ever.
last Friday.
Ever. This is like Darth Vader without his mask on. It's
I
like
don't
what
think
this
that's
is
what it
right
is.
here. Paul, is that kind of what it's like a little bit?
I can see that,
Yeah, a little bit? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. A little breaking news from the world of college football. On3 and others reporting that Notre Dame transfer quarterback Riley Leonard ruled out for winter workouts. He had ankle surgery. So, had you going there, didn't Muse?
You had me in the first half. I'm not going to lie.
Well, they're not going to be any good anyway. I mean, they'll win some games. They'll lose some games. I think Notre Dame's schedule next year, actually, can you pull up Notre Dame's schedule? I think Notre Dame's schedule next year actually is very agreeable for them. Like, I think they could, if I remember correctly, I'm not looking at it right now. Oh, here it is. Okay, I've got it. So they open at Notre Dame. That's right. So Mike Elko, his first game as the Texas A&M head coach is going to be against his former school where he once coached there at Notre Dame. So they go at A&M, Northern Illinois, at Purdue, Miami of Ohio, Louisville, Stanford, Georgia Tech, Navy, Florida State, Virginia, at USC. You know what? Actually, those all can't be at home. Oh, okay. We're going to determine the location for the conference games. So that's right. Isn't that bizarre? I guess we just don't know where they're going to play all of the ACC games because the ACC schedule hasn't been set yet.
I thought they released the ACC schedule the other day.
Are you kidding me? They're going to play 8 straight home games?
I'm pretty sure they released it the other day.
There's no way Notre Dame's only playing 3 road games. A&M, Purdue, and USC is it?
Well, they might have a typo on there. I mean,
they have Georgia Tech and Navy at neutral locations. But is that that's it? Wow, that's stunning. Anyway, to the point. I mean, that is a very, very agreeable schedule for Notre Dame. Notre Dame in the playoff, Muse. Look it. It's happening. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. Shea Dixon in 21 minutes. If you missed the news a bit ago, today, the 5-star #1 safety in the country for the class of 2025 is visiting LSU's campus. Unofficial visit. Corey Raymond doing work. Shea Dixon will be here in about 21 minutes to give us an update on that, update on Terry Bussey, the JUCO defensive lineman, Jaleel Muhammad that Bo Davis has offered. We got a ton to talk about with Shea in about 20 minutes from right now. Right now, though, we do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference, the Tennessee Volunteers.
Tennessee is under NCAA investigation for multiple major NIL violations across their athletic department. That according to Pat Forty at Sports Illustrated. Is Sports Illustrated still a thing? I thought they were done. Anyway, just last summer, Tennessee was penalized for more than 200 rules infractions within the football program, including 18 Level 1 violations. Now, apparently more to come. You might remember the NCAA did not slap Tennessee with a postseason ban, but gave him an $8 million fine and a whole bunch of other sanctions and all different kinds of vacated wins, scholarship restrictions coming because of NIL violations. We'll keep you posted.
The Auburn Tigers.
Auburn set to hire veteran SEC assistant DJ Durkin as its next defensive coordinator. The deal is for 3 years. Durkin will be on his fourth SEC job now. Previously was the defensive coordinator at Florida, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. Also, you might remember, was the defensive coordinator at Michigan and then the head coach at Maryland, where he was unceremoniously dismissed.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Former Georgia offensive lineman Warren Erickson headed back to Athens as a coach. He'll be an offensive line grad assistant there under Stacy Searles. Erickson played at Georgia from 2018 to 2022 and actually started 14 games for Georgia during the 2021 season when they won the national championship. He was their starting right guard. Georgia opens the 2024 season against Clemson in Atlanta. On the hardwood tonight, couple of games in the Southeastern Conference. South Carolina is at 5th-ranked Tennessee. That's at the Tommy Bowl there in Knoxville. And then the Egg Bowl on the hardwood. You've got Ole Miss hosting Mississippi State. They're at the Pavilion in Oxford. Ole Miss 4-3 in the league. Mississippi State 3-4 in the Southeastern Conference. Okay, there you have it. That is around the SEC. We are presented every day by our friends at First South Farm Credit. Your first call when you're going to buy land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. Farmers, your first option should be First South Farm Credit. Go online at firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. If it's land for agriculture, First South Farm Credit. Maybe it's recreational property. You want your own hunting property? First South Farm Credit. Maybe you're looking, I was talking to a gentleman earlier today who is building he and his wife their retirement home, and their home where they're going to retire, how I should say it. Bought a big tract of land and they're building their home right now. If you're thinking about building your forever home, First South Farm Credit should be your first call because they've been helping Louisianians buy land for more than 100 years. Since 1916, 44 branches across 3 different states, and quite honestly, they can help you buy land in any of the contiguous 48 states. So if you want to buy land from 20 acres to build your home to 1,000 acres for agriculture, First South Farm Credit should be your first call. firstsouthland.com. That's firstsouthland.com. A lot of people are going to talk about this Tennessee story, and I'll oversimplify. The NCAA is investigating Tennessee for major NIL violations across multiple sports. And I know there's a lot of people that are going to point and laugh at Tennessee, and I get it. Like, how could you be so stupid as to be breaking the rules in an NIL era where working out these deals is legal with very loose restrictions? Just follow the very loose restrictions and pay your players. That's what everybody's doing. So to that end, yes, I can see it. But I'd also say this. Be very cautious pointing the finger. Because, but by the grace of God, the NCAA could be pointing the finger at your program. And if they were looking for some impropriety within NIL, they would find it. Every program. Now, what I think is really going on, because we went for 2 years, essentially, without anybody getting so much as a slap on the wrist. The NCAA had almost just said, you know what? You want to do it? Do it. We're just going to step back, do whatever you want. We didn't want this. We wanted congressional oversight. They're ignoring us. Yeah, go ahead. Do what you want. Make a mess of the whole thing. That's kind of been their approach. Well, the NCAA is still hoping for congressional oversight. And as we continue to look for toward potential NIL, I don't want to say regulation, but oversight might be a better way of saying it. The NCAA has to at least in some way show or prove that they are a viable entity, that they can still maintain control over this. So to that extent, maybe that's why when you hear of these like large, egregious deals, like the Jaden Rashada thing at Florida, or what was alleged with Nico Amaleleva, maybe I'll say his name right before he graduates, at Tennessee, those types of things that become headline news put you on the NCAA's radar. And if they are turning a blind eye to even those, then they have been rendered useless. They've been neutered. Their power has been neutered. So this could be the NCAA starting to take a stand against some of the more egregious behavior to show Congress, hey, we're still a viable entity. You can trust us, which I don't believe they are, and I don't think they will, and all that sort of stuff. But it could be what they're doing here. It could be what the NCAA is doing here. We'll follow it, see what's going on with Tennessee. I mean, keep in mind, Tennessee was just popped over the summer for 18 level 1 violations during the Pruitt era. Now here you are less than a year later, and you're back in the NCAA's crosshairs. I mean, that's when you could start talking about lack of institutional control and major oversight from the NCAA within Tennessee's athletic department. We'll follow it. Okay, it's After Further Review, Tuesday shows, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. We'll knock on a break and wrap up hour number 1 next.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. You know where to find them. 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. Today, when I woke up, it was 38 degrees. The high today is 72. Welcome to Louisiana. So whether you're turning on your heater at night, your AC in the middle of the day, if you're having issues, call the best. Call River City's 1 Hour Air. They have more than double the amount of 5-star Google reviews of the next closest competitor because they've been in this market for more than 40 years. They treat people great. As I always say, they do exceptional work at a fair price. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. You can trust who's coming into your home, that they are going to be reputable and they're going to do great work. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with a giant clock on the side. 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
Happy New Year from your friends at Front to Back Boat Service. And what better way to kick off your new year than by taking your boat to the next level? Get the boat of your dreams, and that's where Front to Back comes into play. You want that spot lock trolling motor that's going to keep you right there on the water where you need to be. How about some forward-facing sonar that actually shows you the fish before you even cast? Custom stereo jobs, all of it. Sherman family's been doing it for 38 years. Go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ford F-150 lifted trucks. $10,000 off new Ford F-150 and 3.9% financing. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri.
She thinks my tractor's sexy. It really turns her on.
After further review powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Lee Feinswog returns today. Muse. We haven't talked. When was the last time we talked to Lee?
The Lee Feinswog?
When was it? Was before Christmas.
Well before Christmas.
I don't know if it was well before Christmas, but it was before Christmas.
I'm thinking it was like in November.
I don't know.
I'm thinking it was.
I feel like we talked around Heisman. We'll have to check.
I'm thinking like A&M week, which would have been technically around Heisman. That's what I'm thinking.
I don't know, man. Because after A&M, you had the SC Championship, then Heisman. I think we talked to him in December. I think it was like the week before Christmas. We'll check. But it has been a long time since we've talked to our friend Lee Feinswog. Where in the world has he been? Don't know. What many beers has he sampled? We'll find out. The world has changed so dramatically. Nick Saban was still coaching Alabama.
It's true, he was.
I lost my voice multiple times and regained it since we last spoke to Lee.
Bill Belichick was still coaching the New England Patriots.
Bill Belichick was coaching the Patriots.
About that.
Pete Carmichael was the OC of the Saints.
Yeah, the Saints were still alive for the playoffs.
Unbelievable.
Mathematically.
Yeah, I mean, they were right there.
They were there, man. They were right there.
It was a bad division. That's kind of how it goes sometimes. So, Lee coming up next hour. Shea Dixon in about 10 minutes. Looking forward to having Shea here. Speaking of college football schedules for next year, and listen, I'm not. You've listened to the show long enough. I'm not the guy who on January the 30th is going to start previewing the next college football season. Okay, there are some very unfortunate sports talk markets where like that's all you have to do. We're very fortunate here. We have a lot of. I say this all the time. I believe this market is unique in the truest sense of the word, meaning only one, because there are a lot of places where there are some places where you have crossover between a college and pro market, right? Atlanta and Athens are similar, where you can talk about the Atlanta pro teams and the Georgia Bulldogs. That exists. But this is truly unique because this is the only place where we can talk about college baseball and it hits. I mean, I can talk about midweek games, even though they don't matter, and get ratings. Like people are interested in who the midweek pitching change, right? There is literally, even great other baseball towns, there's nowhere else where you can get that. And the places that do care enough about baseball to talk about that don't have the population crossover of a major city with professional sports franchise, where we could talk about Saints, Pels. You get my drift here? That's what makes this market truly unique. There's none like it, so I love it. So anyway, all that to say, I'm not going to talk about like previewing the college football season in January, but when there are interesting college football storylines that pop up, we will mention them. And today, the Big 12, the newly redesigned Big 12, released its first schedule as a 16-team league. So remember, the Big 12 is losing Texas and Oklahoma. You know that. And they are gaining. This is going to take a while for everybody to remember, like who's in what league. Such a massive shift. They're gaining Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah. So Colorado's going back to the Big 12 from whence they came. And today they released, the Big 12 did, their full schedule grid as a 16-team league. And there's two interesting things. There's a lot of interesting things, but there's two in particular. There are going to be two non-conference games played between conference opponents. So Baylor and Utah had a non-conference home and home. So they're going to finish that this year as a non-conference game. So Baylor and Utah, conference opponents that will play non-conference game. And then Arizona and Kansas State will play in week 3 in a non-conference game as well between conference opponents. We do see this in baseball. Like Ole Miss and Mississippi State play a, what do they call it? The Magnolia Cup or whatever they call it? The Governor's Cup?
The Governor's Cup.
They play, so it's a non-conference baseball game they play every year in the midweek, but it's against conference opponents. So it's not uncommon. It's just uncommon in football, but they'll be doing it in the Big 12. Shea Dixon, next.
AFR.
Brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. Y'all, I had a scary thing happen to me today. I was driving down I-10, and there was an SUV in front of me that rolled over that, like 18-wheeler tire tread that sometimes ends up on the side of the road. It was a big old hunk of it. And this SUV rolled over, it popped up into the air, and landed smack on my hood. Bounced, landed on my windshield. It was very scary. I mean, it was like one of those things like when you're watching a shopping cart from around across the parking lot, you know that it's coming and there's nothing you can do about it. My hood's damaged. The whole front of my car is damaged. I'd have to send it to the body shop to get it all fixed and everything. But the point is, it could have been so much worse, but for the fact that I'm driving one of the safest vehicles on the road. I say it all the time. That is the benefit of a Volkswagen. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction?
It was a humid day. Barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Happy New Year from your friends at Front to Back Boat Service. And what better way to kick off your new year than by taking your boat to the next level? Get the boat of your dreams, and that's where Front to Back comes into play. You want that spot lock trolling motor that's going to keep you right there on the water where you need to be. How about some forward-facing sonar that actually shows you the fish before you even cast? Custom stereo jobs, all of it. Sherman family's been doing it for 38 years. Go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. One of the top NFL head coaching candidates is staying put. Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson's informed the team he'll be back. He wants another shot at winning a Super Bowl with Detroit. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports Johnson's got 2 years left on his Lions contract, and his deal was not adjusted to get him to stay. Former Falcons head coach Arthur Smith will be hired as the Steelers' offensive coordinator. NBA in the wake of a historically remarkable 3-game run for Luka Doncic, where he's accounted for nearly 80 points per game. Mavericks coach Jason Kidd with some bold comments regarding his superstar guard.
He's better than Dirk. He's in the atmosphere of MJ, the best to ever do it, LeBron, Kobe. And so just to appreciate what this young man's doing at the age of 24 is something that Dallas has never seen. And now it's, the opportunity of getting the right people around him to ultimately win the championship.
Jason Kidd on Dallas radio station 97.1. 76ers center Joel Embiid questionable against the Warriors tonight with knee soreness. He'll decide on playing after going through pregame warm-ups.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Wednesday, I'll tell you why any trade my Lakers make won't impact how their season ends. It's unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And Mr. Toby Tumpley. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. All right, recruiting season is cranking up as we head toward next Wednesday, the February signing period. Our guy Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger, good enough to join us now for a couple of minutes, as he does every Tuesday. Shady, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing awesome. We appreciate the time as always. Let me start with the news from this weekend with Jabari Antoine committing to LSU for the class of 2025. On 3 has him as the highest rated among all the recruiting services. How did this come together, and what's LSU getting here in Antoine?
Yeah, we've got him all the way up at the number 3 corner in the country, a top 20 player overall. That gives them 4 top 20 overall prospects committed now out of the 9 commitments for the 2025 class. So if you can't guess, that is the number 1 recruiting class in America. He only bolstered it. They were already number 1 before that because they've got 3 5-stars committed, all of them number 1 at their position at quarterback, running back, receiver, and no other school right now has more than 1 5-star committed. So that's an impressive early haul for LSU for sure. But getting Antoine, I thought, was big, really for multiple reasons. One, obviously, he's an extremely talented player, number player in Louisiana. Like I said, top 3 corner in the country, 6'1", 175 range kid as a junior in high school. So a very good-looking corner prospect, and then that quickly goes to, well, that's probably one of 2 of the biggest positions of need you have on defense, in addition to probably the interior of the defensive line. So rebuilding that cornerback room and bringing Corey Raymond back as the secondary coach and, the guy who's going to be in charge or tasked with building the room back up that's what you want to see it start with, keeping the best guys in Louisiana at home. And that would kind of be the third layer of this for me is, you're keeping one of Louisiana's best at home, but you also went to Westgate to do it. And that's where Derek Williams, the number 1 safety in the country, a year ago, went to Texas out of Westgate. And Danny Lewis at tight end, right? When Brian Kelly and the staff got hired, he went to Alabama. So they signed Demarion Johnson, a D lineman, out of Westgate this past December, and now getting Antoine on board is huge. And look, throw in Dominic McKinley, who was committed to A&M out of Acadiana. He flips to LSU. And it feels like kind of one area that LSU's never had any struggles with, the Acadiana area as a whole in terms of recruiting. that they've lost some guys in recent years, and now they're sort of punching back and keeping these guys at home.
Shea, how big, you mentioned Corey Raymond, how big of an impact is this staff that we've all talked about, right, their recruiting prowess? How big of an impact is this staff having in the early returns?
Huge, and I think we're already seeing it because the guy like Jabari Antoine called Corey Raymond icing on the cake, said that it was LSU, Texas. He felt good about LSU, he really liked the staff. Personnel-wise, it was in place, and was curious to see what the defensive hires were. And then when Raymond got named the secondary coach, didn't take long for him to say, all right, I am ready to shut it down and commit to LSU. But even beyond that, I mean, Blake Baker and Peoples and having Bo Davis back on the D-line, and then even Jake Olson, who's the youngest member of the staff in coaching at safeties, the youngest member of the defensive side of the staff, coaching safeties. He was there this weekend for their Cajun Bash recruiting weekend, and the safeties I talked to, who a number of them are highly ranked here in Louisiana, lit up about him, said he was awesome, vibed well. So it seems like even a guy like that, who a lot of people aren't familiar with, is someone that recruits kind of immediately gravitated towards. But I think for me, and not taking away anything from any of them, but it's just because they're two LSU grads who know the lay of the land and are old enough and have done it for a long time, that Raymond and Bo Davis being back is a pretty big deal. And we've quickly seen them, because they're coming from schools that recruit high-level players, offer all the guys that they were on at the other schools and kind of just pick right back up in a new uniform. So I think that bodes well for recruiting in terms of, hey, how do you quickly, transition from one staff to the next? Well, these guys have been recruiting the caliber of player that you want. So they kind of just keep recruiting, and now they've got a different polo on when they do it.
Yeah. I wanted to ask about DJ Pickett as well. Number one safety in America for the class of 2025. He's out of Florida, and he's visiting LSU today, Tuesday, correct? Can you fill in some deets here, how this all is coming together?
Yeah, DJ Pickett is a kid out of Zephyr Hills, which is probably about 30 minutes outside of Gainesville. So Corey Raymond had been on him at Florida. Florida's been kind of considered a front runner, if not the team to beat, for DJ Pickett being a Sunshine State kid. But now that Raymond's here, it was, as I said, quickly getting back in touch with everybody he was recruiting previously that he really liked in this 2025 class. We're talking about the kids who, the 2024 class off signing day next week, and then the page is completely turned to all these guys who are juniors and will be seniors in the fall. And Pickett is ranked as the number one safety, but I can tell you that LSU likes him at corner. And 6'3", 175, kid who runs track and, long arms, can turn his hips. That's kind of exactly what Corey Raymond looks for in corners. So we're also seeing him go back to, if you really look across the board between Antoine, Pickett, and a number of others, they've re-offered and been on now that Raymond's been on staff a couple of weeks. It's the 6'1", 2, 3 corners who can turn and run and also run track in the spring, which was something we kind of got used to seeing, during Raymond's tenure here. But yes, Pickett will be in town tonight. He'll be here all day tomorrow. So kind of quickly seeing guys start to visit before the dead period hits next week.
Shea Dixon's with us on 3, the Bengal Tiger. It's just such an important recruiting part of the recruiting calendar right now. Let me ask about, before we get to obviously the February signing date, let me ask about Terry Bussey. Any update there?
Yeah, he's really I would say the only guy that we've seen, unless they make a late offer, that is kind of still in play here for the late signing day, and that's not out of the norm. I mean, they normally sign 1 or 2 kids in February now, with most everybody signing in December, let alone the transfer portal giving you additions in December, January, and really beyond that. But they've got Dominic McKinley committed, and he'll sign next week. And then it's Bussey, and Bussey gets in town tomorrow morning. They've already used their official visit. That happened before he committed to A&M in September. So he'll be in town, I think, overnight. So you've got a day or two to entertain him and his family and get a feel for, hey, look, you're a week away from signing. Are you sticking with A&M? Or, what are the realistic options or possibilities that you might flip? And LSU's been a team that's been right there all along, from before he committed to A&M to him committing to A&M in September and then remaining committed but not signing in December. Whenever Jimbo got fired and they were hiring their whole new staff, he just said, hey, look, I'll wait it out till February and see what the staff's like. But most of the buzz coming out of this new College Station staff led by Mike Elko is that they feel good about holding on to him. The only 2 teams that are really even in the mix now are Georgia, who replaced Bama because Traveris Robinson's at Georgia now, and that was his main recruiter at Alabama. So he visited there this past weekend, and then he'll be back here at LSU. And it's a whole new defensive staff for him to get to know tomorrow between Raymond and Blake Baker as a DC and Jake Olson as a safeties coach. This is a guy who's ranked as the number one athlete in the country, but most people like him on defense, which would mean corner, safety, nickel. I mean, he's athletic enough to play any of them and has got the size for it. So I think we'll have a lot more clarity in terms of, hey, does LSU really have a shot here with this new staff in the 11th hour once he spends, a day or two on campus this week?
Well, they're putting a button here, Shea, on the 2024 high school class. What about when you look at potential portal ads? And I know we're waiting for the portal cycle after spring, but for example, I know Bo Davis offered Jaleel Muhammad, a JUCO defensive lineman. What's the latest there, or other potential additions outside of the high school guys they're looking at?
Right. They've already signed one, a JUCO kid, defensive tackle, Sean Washington, a New Orleans native, who went to Warren East and then went to Georgia and then was at East Mississippi, and they got him on board. Now, do they add another? They have offered Jaleel Muhammad, who you mentioned, he goes to Garden City in Kansas. And as a guy who's picked up a number of offers, LSU seems to be the one team that's kind of really on him. Others are, I've seen a number of teams kind of pop up as, hey, we could get visits, but since he doesn't graduate until the spring, he doesn't have to do anything right now as a JUCO guy. So he could kind of wait it out if he doesn't want to sign next week. We'll see what he does regardless. But, yes, they would take a guy like that. I just haven't seen any other portal action, or I guess any portal action from them, given Muhammad's a JUCO kid. But most of the guys, I guess by the time Bo Davis and this new staff got here, most of the D tackles, and there weren't many that would be considered elite, but guys that had entered were already on board with other schools. So I think LSU is hoping that, hey, look, the spring window is going to be more active than it ever has been in the prior few years of it existing. Do guys pop in, and from there, can we make a move on them? I would be very surprised if they don't come out. I would be surprised if they don't come out of the spring window with at least one defensive tackle addition beyond what a guy like Muhammad does. I just think that they want or know that they need a little bit more proven depth there.
Agreed. Last thing for you, Shea, your time always appreciated. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about Austin Thomas. I know LSU hasn't formally announced his return, but it's been reported. I know you've had everybody's got it. So what does having Austin Thomas back mean for this program?
I think it's another guy who comes back, much like when they hired Frank and when they hired Corey and Bo Davis even, that knows the lay of the land at LSU, has been here multiple times, and has got a good feel for what the lay of the land is in the SEC. I mean, he's worked at a number of SEC schools from A&M till his most recent stop at Ole Miss being with Kiffin, and there he was involved in everything from football to the collective. So now that you've added this NIL wrinkle over the past 2 seasons, he comes with a kind of an experience and a lot of intel into how that works. And the Ole Miss Collective, the Grove Collective, has been one of the more notable ones that's been out there. And we've certainly seen what Ole Miss did in the portal this cycle and yielded some pretty good results. So I think with his hand kind of on a little bit of everything, that he's a guy that can help, run a building or oversee, hires or, kind of just day-to-day stuff of what happens in football beyond the games you play on Saturday. And now that there is so much going on from NIL, the portal, retaining players, the NFL draft, recruiting, building out your board, coaching changes, it just seems like we're adding more and more to it. So having guys like that beyond a director of player personnel, whether you call it a GM or some other role, but having people who are experienced that can kind of help oversee things and be another voice for you, I think it's always a good thing. And really, he's one of the names that's more synonymous with it, given that when LSU named him GM, he was one of the first college GMs out there.
Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger, on Twitter at Shea Dixon. Y'all give him a follow. It's the best. Shea, we appreciate you as always, man. Thank you.
Okay, we'll talk next Tuesday before signing day.
I'll look forward to it. The one and only Shea Dixon. It's after further review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. We're brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. If you have issues with your vehicle, and especially if you need tires, the only place to go is Shaw Bills. Name brand tires at wholesale prices. They got Charlie's Price Match Guarantee, which is part of the Charlie's Dozen. When you buy tires at Shaw Bills, not only are you getting the best tires on the road at the cheapest price possible, but they're also going to extend to you a dozen benefits that come along with buying your tires at Shaw Bills, like free tire repairs, free tire rotations, free alignment, the Charlie's Price Match Guarantee. Learn more about the Charlie's Dozen at ShawBillsTire.com. ShawBillsTire.com. Shaw Bills, where we keep you rolling. Bit of a surprising news. Ben Johnson staying with the Detroit Lions. He is eschewing several head coaching opportunities. I got some thoughts on that. We'll get to that at the bottom of the hour. And 45 minutes from right now, Saints at the Senior Bowl. Jeff Ireland gave an interview to reporters earlier today. We'll let you hear some of what the Saints executive had to say in Mobile, and I'll react to it, including one quarterback potentially the Saints could be targeting. We'll talk about that in about 45 minutes. Lee Feinswog is next. AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, two amazing hotel properties in Baton Rouge. The Watermark downtown, the Renaissance Southtown. Make sure that you check out both. Remember, we always like to say that at the Renaissance Hotel or the Watermark Hotel, we are in the business of saying yes. If you need to host an event, the Renaissance Hotel can help. It is a gorgeous facility right there on Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge. And with their meeting space, they have boardrooms that can host a dozen, or you can look at their ballroom that can host up to 500 people. It's the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet. Tell you all the time about Tallulah, fine dining, casual upscale dining inside of the Renaissance Hotel right there on Bluebonnet, Baton Rouge, across from the Mall of Louisiana. The Watermark downtown, the Renaissance Southtown. Check them out today at the Renaissance Hotel.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ford F-150 lifted trucks. $10,000 off new Ford F-150 and 3.9% financing. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Does my eyes deceive me? It's Lee Feinswog. Hey! When was the last time we talked to you?
Mid-December.
Right
before, mid-December. I was headed off to, get ready, boys, Tampa for the NCAA volleyball championships. And it was, that was over a month ago, 5 weeks, almost 6 weeks ago. That's a lot of time.
Muse was saying it was November. I was like, no, I think it was closer to Christmas.
Yeah. I did after that. I was committed to resting this left shoulder, which is being held together with Scotch tape and glue. And I said, I'm going to just stay out of the pool and do some rehab. And then some guys tricked, convinced, begged. They needed somebody who could walk and swim at the same time, or chew gum and swim at the same time. That's the way I should say it.
Yeah, walking and swimming at the same time. Not really. That doesn't.
Right. Yeah. Not too many people did that. One famous guy, they said, whatever. But anyway, so now we can get into something about fish and loaves of bread. But I committed to play next month in a world tournament in Doha.
What's Doha?
So,
is that Qatar? Where's Doha?
Yeah. And the country of Qatar, which is.
Oh, I got that right. Holy crap. Can I get a ding, please? That's a good pull, yeah? Me, geography guy.
And they it's there are a lot of reasons to not go there, okay? It's supposed to be like the greatest, most magical place, and of course it's all built on slave labor, and there's so much bad about it. However, the opportunity to go there the one time, it just looks so awesome. The facilities are great. The athletes who have gone there for other sports have just raved about it. And I thought, when the hell else am I going to get to go play in a tournament like that? And it's interesting overlap. The beach volleyball pair from LSU, Taryn Cloth and Kristen Nuss, who are medal favorites, if not gold medal favorites. The pro beach season opens the 2 days after our tournament ends. And so we've made plans to have dinner because they'll be there early. And I would like to tell you that they actually have a great chance to win the gold medal in Paris next summer. That's not to say that they will. I mean, it's going to be a fierce battle. There are probably 5 or 6 teams that could win the gold medal, but they are really something. I would even tell you that if you ever break away, even for a short segment, and want to get them on before the Olympics, I know they would do it, and it'd be well worth it. There's going to be a lot of area athletes in Paris, I'm sure, but they are medal favorites.
Very cool, man. Hey, when we last spoke, Bill Belichick was still the coach of the Patriots. Nick Saban was still the coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Jim Harbaugh had yet to win the national championship. Now he has, and he's the coach of the Chargers. What's for you, like, over this last 6 weeks, the biggest, most glaring storyline for you?
Well, for me, it's been really nice because it's truly my best downtime. And so I enjoy watching the NFL playoffs and have watched them and really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed, we hadn't even talked since the NCAA football championship. Wow.
Right.
It's not even NCAA. Does it count as NCAA football championship? It's just
it's just the college football playoff.
Yeah. I did in Tampa have an exclusive interview with Charlie Baker, the new head of the NCAA. Really good guy who's got a clue. Be good for athletes and good for sports. I think the football thing is getting away from everybody. Saban retiring was probably the most significant because he's the greatest college football coach ever. You could argue that he's the greatest football coach ever. And in a sport that's so important in our country, that you could argue he's the best coach. I mean, there are other coaches in some sports who have done extremely well. Like there are swim coaches who have won teens in a row of NCAA titles, or cross country and stuff like that. And there's been great basketball coaches. But what Saban did in football, in all of the places that he went, I mean, everything that's happened great in LSU football the last 23 years all is because of what happened with Nick Saban. That's not to say that maybe somewhere along the line LSU wouldn't have caught up and done well, but it all happened because he came here. You know, people like to say change the culture. Well, he just came in and just coached his ass off and got great players and had unbelievable assistants. I mean, the Saban tree is beyond reproach, all the guys who coach for him and what they've done. And the players that he had, and especially that first team that won the national championship. And so I was, of course, on, holiday hiatus from Sports 225. I know you're shocked, but
I thought
I was also on hiatus. Right. I was also on hiatus from drinking. I've only had like 5 different days since the last time I talked to you where I've had drinks. And that was because of this thing at Doha. It's like, son, fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life. I mean, I had to like really get with the program and to help get fit and be ready for this trip. But I did make a couple of exceptions, of course, which is, at the end of our segment, I have a great beer for us. But Saban, so in terms of Sports 225 coming back, it was after the second show, and it was like, oh gosh, I have all these Saban clips, because I was really, really diligent about saving them back in the day, especially when we had the 500 Sports Monday, and I archived every show and went through, and so I'm putting it together. I'll finish it tomorrow. It'll air Friday on Cox 4, a show with nothing but Saban clips, and then introducing them with some commentary and stuff. And those interviews were so good. Not only did he do the first and only long interviews with me over the course of the first year, but he was so good, and we had such a good time. The first show was horrible. It was like, the joke was it was the longest 2 hours of our life, and it was a 1-hour live show. But after that, he was so good, and the stuff, we had so much fun talking about stuff. I mean, these clips I have, he laughs, he jokes. We give each other a little bit of crap, and it was such good stuff. I haven't seen her talk to Nick in a really, really long time. And after I put the show together and put it on YouTube, I'll get somebody hopefully to send him a link so he can see it, and he'll probably say the same thing I'll say. What the hell happened to me?
Yeah.
I look at myself and go, ooh, 20 years ago, I was once a damn handsome young man.
Lee Feinswog is our guest. No longer a damn handsome young man, but an old guy who loves beer, and we enjoy his company here most Tuesdays whenever he can fit us in amid his very busy schedule as a world traveler, going to Qatar to play water polo and whatnot. Hey, LSU basketball, I don't imagine you've locked in tremendously on them, but if you have, give me some thoughts on what you've seen so far.
Well, I've only watched them peripherally. I'll be lying if I said I've watched much college basketball yet this year. And when you said that in your text, let's talk LSU basketball, I was like, I don't even know how much I can fake it. And I went through and I looked at the stats. If you look at their season stats, you look at a team that ought to be in a better situation, just because if you look just at shooting percentages, I mean, they're shooting 45%, 35% from 3-point range, 72% for free throws. They've got a nice, a decent assist to turnover ratio, real, and in terms of assist, steals, and blocks. So just looking at the stats, but I would be lying to you if I said I've watched him close enough to offer you any more than the usual non-commentary view on stuff. So that's an honest fake right there.
Well, I know it's going to happen here in about a month or so when it's bracketology time. You'll pick Purdue to win it all, and we'll laugh at you when they get bounced in round 1.
And Matt, just like last year, shouldn't Purdue win it all this year? Weren't they the number 1 seed last year after all those years of all the jokes? And this year, they're fantastic. And they'll implode, but gosh, they're good. I have watched that. I have watched them twice. The big kid is so good. They're so much. They're fun.
Bracketology. I know Lenardi has a bracketology out. I believe it was today. He put a bracketology out today, and he's got Purdue as the number 1 overall seed. So naturally, they're fantastic. But you're right, they'll implode and blow it. We got to get to our beer here in a bit. But anything else in the sports world over the last 6 weeks that's piqued your interest? Kim Mulkey and the women's basketball team losing a couple times.
I did watch a bit of the Mississippi State game and saw the end. And you can't go 3 for 14 from 3-point range and have 21 turnovers with only 12 assists. Not
a good
they're
ratio.
Missing something. No, and I don't want to like dog on a kid, but the point guard they got, the transfer Haley Van Lith, she's not nearly as good as the.
Well, she's not a point guard.
Breathtaking and breathtaking announcements of her coming in.
She's not a point guard though, Lee. That's the thing. She's a 2, and because Alexis Morris graduated, they didn't have a point guard, so she's learning to play point guard. I mean that is like I salute her tremendously at this point in her career for switching positions. I mean that's pretty incredible of her to do. It's a very selfless thing for her to do.
She's got a pretty experienced point guard teaching her the ropes, and so we'll assume that she'll get better. But that was just what I took away from that. The Super Bowl has me greatly intrigued. I mean, Mr. Irrelevant, so soon after being drafted, being the quarterback for the Niners, and the idea that it's in Las Vegas. Remember when it was like, they'll never bring big time sports to Las Vegas? No way, because they gamble on them. And then if Kansas City wins, where does Mahomes rank in the great quarterbacks? Brady, obvious number 1, but then does he keep up with Montana, or does Montana still stay ahead of him?
Montana's
those
got
are just things that I've asked myself.
We can't have this conversation yet, man.
Honestly,
and I'm not trying to be insulting. I think it is lazy echo chamber sports media convos whenever you start to have that conversation right now. It's just not worth having conversation.
You just asked me what caught you.
No, I get it. I get it. I'm not saying I'm just I'm not, like I said, I was saying that not trying to be insulting, but like there is like a lot of people are trying to have that conversation, and it's nonsensical. Like he's in year 6, and it's been an incredible 6-year run, but are we really going to try to compare a 6-year sample to 20 years of Tom Brady or 15 years of Joe Montana, San Francisco, and Kansas City? No, I mean can we just enjoy the moment and watch them cut away to Taylor Swift and my wife go crazy because she gets to see Taylor Swift on TV?
I would like to say this about Taylor Swift. I wish that the directors of every sporting event would not immediately cut away from the players who do something well. I like to see them react. I like to see them and their teammates. At the end of a game, no matter what the sporting event is, I like to see the interaction between the players and the coaches, and I really like that. So going away to these crowd shots right away. But when Kelsey scored the first touchdown the other day, it was like a nanosecond before they zoomed in on the suite to see Taylor Swift's reaction.
Of course.
Now, I've listened to Taylor Swift sing a few songs. I couldn't name more than like 2 or 3. I think she's very good. She's a wonderful entertainer, but I would always remind people that in 2016, after the terrible floods here, she donated $1 million to this area. And I don't know what her connection to it was, but I mean, she donated $1 million to the Baton Rouge area.
That's
I know the
amazing.
Ascension Parish Schools got a bunch of money, Denham Springs. And I remember thinking then, this is a cool chick, and how neat that she did that. I know there were some food banks that benefited from it. And, not knowing anything about her at the time, obviously you'd have to live in a cave now not to know anything about her, because it's unbelievable. I mean, what she's done this summer in terms of tours reminds me of when I was a kid in the Beatles, from the musical end, just all people going crazy. Like you said, your wife, they showed her, whatever.
Bro,
but those are the things that intrigue me. Not as much, though, as a great beer.
You don't get to do that. Like, you don't get to set up the beer.
I know,
set up
I
the
do.
Beer. What are you doing? Like, you're not hosting the show. All of this time, and still.
After 6 weeks, I get to, I got to catch up a little bit.
Whatever. Just play the song, Muse. I don't even want to do it. Just go. Hit the thing.
What's just a malt liquor? What gets you drunker quicker? What comes in bottles or in cans? Beer. Can't get enough of it. Beer. How we really love it. Beer. Makes me think I'm a man. Beer. I could kiss and hug it, but I'd rather chuck it. Got my belly out to here. Beer. I could not refuse it. I could really use a beer. Beer.
Take it away.
Well, I did come out of beer drinking hiatus for you a couple times because I knew I had to have a good beer for this week after us not talking in so long. Abita's Mardi Gras Bock. It's the first of the seasonal brews that Abita makes. It's brewed with pale, Pilsner, and caramel malts and German pearl hops. And they say our Bock is similar to German Maibocks with its rich malt flavor and full body. A perfect choice during carnival season in New Orleans. I say anywhere. Gruyere Emmental and Swiss are nice cheese choices with Bach. Great with roasted beef or pork. Try it with Mexican food too. Well, I think that pretty much means you can eat it with anything if they got all those. It's a really nice beer. The Mardi Gras Bach by Abita, 6.5% alcohol. It's available everywhere, of course, in lovely bottles. You probably have it up on the screen.
Yep.
And it is absolutely a wonderful, wonderful beer. And there you go. I'll do my best to pretend to know some sports for you next Tuesday and come up with another beer. I'll drink at least one day between now and then.
Well, you got half of that promise true. I expect to have a great beer and no sports again next week. Thank you, Lee.
Hey, and for the part where people thought, when you said, with all due respect, giving me a hard time, you and I know each other well enough where you can give me a hard time anytime you want, Matt.
I said
Bye.
with all due respect. Thank you, Lee. We'll see you later. It's after further review.
AFR.
Brought to you by Glow Resources, GLO, glowresources.com. That's glowresources.com. Hey, follow Glow Resources on all of their social media. I told you last week they started giveaways. They gave away $250 cash on their social media just for following and engaging with some of the posts. So GLO, glowresources.com on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok. Make sure you go follow all the Glow Resources accounts. But most importantly, remember, Glow Resources, complete employer solutions. If you are a business owner and you need help hiring, and let's be honest, who doesn't need help hiring in this market? Glow Resources can help with offices in Baton Rouge and New Orleans and Houston and Miami and points in between, and placing employees in jobs all over the country and all over the world. Glow Resources can help. Not only do they get results, but they're fun to work with. Start online at glowresources.com. That's GLO, glowresources.com, glowresources.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Join MMR and ignite your career today. MMR is the largest electrical and instrumentation contractor in the nation, and they're seeking talented individuals to join their team. For over 3 decades, they've been headquartered right here in Baton Rouge, and they have offices all around the globe.
And MMR offers a tailored path for both professional and personal development, outstanding benefits, and a dynamic culture. So whether you're an intern, a seasoned pro, or you're just starting out, see what MMR can offer you. Apply at mmrgrp.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Happy New Year from your friends at Front to Back Boat Service. And what better way to kick off your new year than by taking your boat to the next level? Get the boat of your dreams, and that's where Front to Back comes into play. You want that spot lock trolling motor that's going to keep you right there on the water where you need to be. How about some forward-facing sonar that actually shows you the fish before you even cast? Custom stereo jobs, all of it. Sherman family's been doing it for 38 years. Go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined
She thinks my tractor's sexy. It really turns her on. She's always staring at me.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Hey, Muse.
Yo.
Do you remember last week when we joked about Sunshine using this as their door chime?
I do. I wanted to ask you about that, actually.
Okay. I literally, you need to check Twitter. I literally just got this from my guy Rooney over at Sunshine. Hold on. Paul, I'll play it here. I gotta make sure everything else is muted. There we go. Hold on. All right, so turn it down, Muse. Hold on. Here we go. For those who are listening and not watching, this is a video from inside the office there at one of the Sunshine dealerships. I would assume this is in Donaldsonville. And you're looking at the door, and you can see, you can pull it up, Paulie. There's a green John Deere like bell on the door, right? So when someone, what happened?
No!
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 Happened?
Come on!
Oh, no.
That hasn't happened. The screen hasn't been lost in so long. That screen went black. We can't.
No, we're good.
No! It was our day.
We used to joke all the time. Let me stay on point. I'll come back to that in a second. A lot of times I play video and stuff from my Surface right here. So a lot of times people who are watching, like, what do you always do? Like, I'm touching and stretching and framing shots for Paul because he can take my Surface and put it on the screen for those that are watching. Well, and sometimes it's easier to play video here anyway. So we used to have an issue where a lot of days it wouldn't connect. And it always felt like, and whenever the random happenstance would happen that it worked, we'd be like, it's our day.
It's our day.
It's our day. So that's what Muse was saying. So anyway, all right, pull it back up, Paulie. Here you go. What you're looking at is the door, the entrance. You can see the tractors there behind, right? Someone is going to walk up and open the door. Here you go. Here it comes. Here it comes. They actually did.
That is one of the greatest things, and I'm not exaggerating. That is one of the greatest things I've seen in my entire life. That's
when
so
you
good.
open the door in place, she thinks my tractor sounds. You can turn it off. We don't need it 100 times. Oh, man, that was good. They actually did it. Shout out to Sunshine. They have a lot of fun.
That is
and shout out
incredible.
to them for giving us the freedom and leeway to have fun with this. Like, they could just give me copy points to read, but they're like, hey, put the tractor on the set, play the Kenny Chesney song, whatever you want to do. Show up and do a photo shoot wearing your Air Force Ones, which I did, white and black Air Force Ones, out in a cane field.
Okay, do you have green and yellow shoes yet?
Yeah.
Okay, why didn't you wear those? I don't understand.
I didn't have them then. I don't have green and yellow. I do have green. I have plenty of green and white. But anyway, just what I was wearing that day. Muse, come on now.
Get you some green and yellow John Deere sneakers,
sure,
man.
what I normally do. Hey, Rooney, how about some customs?
Ooh. I mean, he did the door chime thing.
Make that happen. Get you connected with my guy. I got a guy.
That'd be clean. That'd be really clean.
I got a guy. I'll wear some customs. I'll wear some John Deere Sunshine customs. I'll wear. Man, I am. We went long with Lee, shocker, and I'm kind of short on time. But there's two things I wanted to get to in this segment. One was TV ratings for the championship game, and the other was Ben Johnson. Okay, I'm gonna do the Ben Johnson thing here. So I think everybody by now probably knows the name Ben Johnson. He's the offensive coordinator for the Lions, and he is one of, if not the hottest name in this coaching carousel cycle. And everybody interviewed him and, was talking to him about becoming their head coach. And it turns out that it kind of been narrowed down to Washington and Seattle. And ultimately, Ben Johnson decided today he's staying in Detroit. Now, Adam Schefter is reporting that he had a massive ask financially, and the teams said no. And so he said, okay, I'll stay in Detroit and try to go win a Super Bowl there. He's 37 years old. He had interviewed with the Falcons, the Panthers, the Chargers, then obviously the Commanders, the Seahawks. I mean, everybody interviewed. And when I saw this earlier today, it reminded me of Sean Payton's story. And I think a lot of Saints fans know this, but I'm going to assume that there's many, many that don't know this. So, and I only knew this because I remember Sean Payton wrote about it in his book after the Saints won the Super Bowl. He and Drew Brees both wrote books, and I read Sean Payton's account of this. And back in 2004, the Raiders had offered Sean Payton their head coaching job when he was the OC in Dallas. And he was going to take the job. I mean, he writes about how he had a silver tie and a black suit, that he was going to the press conference the next day. And ultimately, he had a conversation with Bill Parcells that night. It was a Tuesday night, as he recalled. And he convinced him not to take the job. I went and done, you can find Sean Payton telling accounts of the story. This was one that I just found. It's from the Autumn Windbags. I don't even know what show that is, but I'll always give attribution. This was Payton kind of relaying that story.
You go to bed Tuesday night thinking you're taking a job. What happens?
I have a Raiders suit in my closet.
What happens Wednesday that changes your mind?
First, Bill calls me. He's in Jupiter, and he just said, hey, I want to talk to you not as your head coach. I want to talk to you like a father.
Bill Parcells.
Yeah. And he was very honest with this conversation. He said, there's a number of people that you're very close with that have given you advice on this decision. You know, John Gruden had been in Oakland, and he knew Bill Callahan. A number of guys that were close to me had said, it's not the right time. You know, it's hard to hear that when it's a head coaching job, though, and you're young. And so he asked me to tell him what they all said, and I told him, and then he said, well, put me in that line with them. It's not the right job.
So Bill Parcells and others told Sean Payton back in 2004, don't take the Raiders job. It's not the right job. And we know what happened. Another cycle came, and then another cycle, and he thought he was getting the Green Bay job. It was him and McCarthy. And ultimately, the Packers chose Mike McCarthy, and so the Saints hired Sean Payton. And I guess the point in telling you this and relaying all that is just to say, yes, every young coach's ambition is to become a head coach, but sometimes it's better to wait for the right job instead of just taking a job. And for Ben Johnson, maybe Washington or Seattle right now isn't the right job, and waiting another cycle or two will present the better and the best opportunity, like it did for Sean Payton in New Orleans. So interesting. Ben Johnson's going to stay there in Detroit and not become a head coach in this cycle. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Pure Restoration, pure-restoration.com. That's pure-restoration.com. Kill mold, remove odor. If you've got an issue with mold, and let's be honest, South Louisiana, it's wet, it's humid. It's the mold capital of the world. You need Pure Restoration. They have a patented, non-toxic dry fog treatment. It's Pure Restoration. They come in, they'll spray their patented non-toxic dry fog. You let the fog dwell. It'll kill all the mold, the spores, other harmful pathogens, viruses, and as soon as the fog dissipates, boom, you're back in, free and clear. Residential, you can be back in half a day. It's Pure Restoration. They can also do complete demolition and build back. It's Pure Restoration, pure-restoration.com. That's pure-restoration.com. Okay, Mucilab Tigers and the Pros to wrap up hour number 2. Then after the top of the hour, Senior Bowl going on in Mobile. Jeff Ireland spoke with reporters today about the Saints' needs. We'll get to that here in about 15 minutes on AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan, injury attorneys. You know where to find them, at Get Gordon. That's on all the social media platforms, at Get Gordon. Was thrilled yesterday to have Kyla Hebert and Dara Haydet in studio. Kyla's an LSU cheerleader. Dara, team captain of the national champion Tiger Girls. How about that? Did you see that? She had a national. They give the Tiger Girls national championship rings. She had a big old giant national championship ring. She'll get a second now. So anyway, a great way that Gordon is helping tell the stories of these student athletes and give them the platform and opportunities through NIL deals. Whether it's some of the well-known football players that you know that have been members of the G team, like Jaden Daniels, or some of the non-revenue sports, the Olympic sports. Gordon has done an amazing job helping advance the visibility of these athletes and their teams in sports through the G team. It's Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for more than 30 years. Get Gordon and get it done. Go to getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 Black Widow trucks, $20,000 off new Ram 1500 trucks, and all new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
His name was Cain. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985.
She thinks my tractor's sexy. It really turns her on.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, wrapping up hour number 2. Muso, Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
Ben Simmons back with the Brooklyn Nets last night. How's this for a return?
Oh?
5 of 5
from
the field.
Oh.
And 10 points.
Oh.
11 assists. Double-double in the return in just 18 minutes.
Attaboy, Benny boy.
He did not attempt a 3, sorry, but just missed the triple-double because with the 10 points and the 11 assists, added 8 rebounds.
Attaboy, Benny boy.
Hadn't played since November 6th. Near triple-double for Ben Simmons.
Attaboy, Benny boy.
Cam Thomas got the start. He dropped 25 and 7 on the Utah Jazz. Yeah, good night for the former Tigers that play for the Nets.
Hey.
They tore it up.
How you doing?
And the Nets finally got a win because of it.
How you doing?
I'll be honest, not as good as them. That's solid.
Not Reed, you. I wasn't asking you.
Well, kind of. I mean, you know.
No, I wasn't asking
Reed, 21 minutes last night. Made three from behind the arc. He did. That was all of his points. 9 of them. 5 rebounds, and he adds 2 assists to his game total. Big Wop off the bench last night. Well, do-Wop Reed. What are you doing? 12 minutes, 5 points, 1 assist, and a rebound. 2 of 3. See if you can break back into that starting lineup. And today, we will also head back to the Chinese Basketball Association. Tremont Waters dropped 40. 40 burger for Tremont Waters in 32 minutes of action. 8 of 9 from the field.
Are you okay over there?
I screwed that up. That one I screwed up.
Did you good?
I'm good. Antonio Blatney, 28 points in his game in 36 minutes of action. That is Tigers and Pros.
All right, we are wrapping up hour number 2, and glad to have you aboard with us. You saw the video? Oh, I see you quote tweeted me there.
So good.
It's so good.
I
Shout
love
out
it.
Sunshine. They made the door chime. She thinks my tractor's sexy. I love it. It's so good. All right. Sports Center's coming up. Let's get you caught up on national headlines. Our buddy Jake Madison, Locked on Pels, will be here in 20 minutes. Pels took it on the chin. Why can't they get past the best teams in this league, aside from the obvious? We'll ask Jake in about 20 minutes. When we come back, Senior Bowl, Jeff Ireland spoke. You'll hear it next, AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Traction, TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com. 2 things I got to tell you about. Number 1, obviously, I'll continue to remind you about the Mardi Gras camps. So parents, if your kiddos are going to be out of school, Traction has baseball and speed camps that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So if your son or daughter is out of school all week for Mardi Gras, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they've got baseball and speed camps, full and half-day options. Take advantage of it. Register today, TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com. Also, Traction Elite Physical Therapy. Remember, if you're injured or if you need PT, you get to choose your physical therapy clinic. Traction Elite Physical Therapy has all the latest technology in the world. This is where professional athletes go to rehabilitate their injuries. So if you want to get back on the golf course, or if you're a runner or a swimmer, or you just want to be healthier and pain-free, Traction Elite Physical Therapy. TractionSports.com.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ford F-150 lifted trucks. $10,000 off new Ford F-150 and 3.9% financing. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Happy New Year from your friends at Front to Back Boat Service. And what better way to kick off your new year than by taking your boat to the next level? Get the boat of your dreams, and that's where Front to Back comes into play. You want that spot lock trolling motor that's going to keep you right there on the water where you need to be. How about some forward-facing sonar that actually shows you the fish before you even cast? Custom stereo jobs, all of it. Sherman family's been doing it for 38 years. Go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Ben Johnson, one of the hottest names this NFL head coaching hiring cycle, is going to run it back with the Lions. The team's offensive coordinator informed them he will stay with Detroit, wants another shot at winning a Super Bowl with the Lions. ESPN NFL reporter Dan Graziano.
His job right now is good. There's no reason to think Detroit won't have a good offense again next year, and maybe something will line up with him and another team next year, because as we know, there will be more openings. There always are.
Dan Graziano on Carlin versus Joe. Johnson has 2 years left on his Lions deal. His contract was not adjusted to stay, reports ESPN's Adam Schefter. The Steelers hiring former Falcons head coach Arthur Smith as their offensive coordinator. NBA 76ers center Joel Embiid questionable against the Warriors tonight with knee soreness. He'll decide on playing after going through pregame warmups. He has missed the last 2 games, both losses. He's missed 12 games in total this season. World Series MVP Ranger shortstop Corey Seager had surgery today for a sports hernia, and he will miss most of spring training. The team is hopeful that he'll be ready by opening day.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, making it easy to save money. When you bundle your auto policy with home, condo, or renters, you'll earn a multi-policy discount. Easy to bundle, easy to save. Visit progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. Jake Madison locked on Pels in 13 minutes from right now. Pels, God, they ran a tight ball game. Couldn't finish, man, last night at Boston. They have just struggled to get past the best teams in the NBA, and they're right there. Why? We'll talk about it with Jake here in about 13 minutes from right now. Jeff Ireland spoke with reporters today at the Senior Bowl. I'm going to get to that in just a quick second, but let me catch you up in case if you're just knocking off of work, just jumping in the car, truck, or van, driving home. You're just watching us on YouTube now as we start Hour 3. Update on the Saints OC. Nick Underhill, late yesterday evening, reported that the Saints are zeroing in. They're narrowing their search for an OC, and it looks like they're getting closer. That happened, and then today we learned that Greg Lewis, the Ravens wide receivers coach, was set to interview today, Tuesday, for the Saints OC job. And then there was another report today. I want to get the attribution right, so give me one quick moment here. I just want to make sure I have it. It was Albert Breer who had it, that the Saints will have a second interview with former Bears OC Luke Getsy for the OC job. So the Saints seem to be narrowing their search. Listen, we know Dan Pitcher, Shane Waldron, Zach Robinson have all taken other jobs. I don't know that John Gruden is a real candidate, and that leaves the other known candidates, Gerard Johnson, Clint Kubiak, Brian Griese, Ronald Curry, Mike Sullivan, Brian Johnson, Greg Lewis, and then Getsy. So that's 8 known candidates that the Saints apparently are narrowing that list and going through second interviews. We know Gerard Johnson had a second interview. Now we've learned Getsy had a second interview. So hopefully they're close to a decision. And that's something actually that I think a lot of people are wondering, how can you go through this process, Senior Bowl, Combine, Draft, without that person in place? So Jeff Ireland talked a lot about that today, and I'm going to get to that here in just a quick second. I want to remind you about Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. great partners of ours and have been for a decade now. Brandon and Adrian Holly, they're just the best. When we talk about Relief Windows, you never hear me talk about price, because I'll never talk about price. I'm never going to tell you they're discount windows or they'll beat everybody's price, because they're not. They won't. They can't. When you sell the best product and you have the absolute best customer service, it's going to cost a little more. But you know what you're getting. You're getting premium windows, measured twice, installed once, custom made for your home, a lifetime transferable warranty on labor, material, and glass breakage. Sell your home. The people that buy it 10 years from now, they break a window, Relief Windows will replace it for free. It's experience, it's quality, it's service, it's Relief Windows. ReliefWindows.com, ReliefWindows.com. And oh yeah, they do indoor shutters as well. Senior Bowl going on in Mobile this week. Jeff Ireland was there, part of the Saints contingent, and you might imagine a big part of the conversation is about the vacant OC job. So not only who it's going to be, and I don't know that Jeff Ireland has that answer, but as you're going through player and talent evaluations and trying to put together your offseason, how much does not having an offensive coordinator in place impact all of that? So that was part of the conversation today. As a matter of fact, Jeff Ireland was asked, do your evaluations, your player evaluations, change based on who the offensive coordinator is?
We do. We tailor it to what he's looking for. There may be an offensive blocking run scheme that we're looking at, and that usually generates a different type of player that we're looking for, maybe a little bit more athletic versus a bulky guy in the middle. So receivers change, tight ends change, whether we're playing with a fullback or not. So yeah, it can definitely change a little bit of the landscape of what kind of player we're looking for, because we want it to be we want that player to schematically fit what we're doing on offense. So absolutely, just like we do on defense.
Makes a lot of sense. But I would also say that only it doesn't matter in your evaluation. It matters when it comes time to determine who you're going to draft, right? You're still going to be evaluating these players and what they do well. And then when your offensive coordinator is in place, you can make a determination if that player, based on your evaluation, fits what that offensive coordinator is looking to do. That was a great response, by the way, by Jeff Ireland. Makes a lot of sense. Do you want a fullback? What type of blockers do you want? And he was also asked, does not having a coordinator in place right now impact your evaluations?
Not necessarily. We're not right there yet in our process. Right now, we're still in a really, a gathering information mode. We are trimming the fat from in some cases, but we're ready to strike. Whether we understand what the kind of players that they are, and so when a player doesn't fit, well, he just kind of goes into a different box of maybe not fitting exactly what the offensive coordinator is looking for, and so maybe this player does, and so that's kind of how we go about it.
So they're at the Senior Bowl, and we know the Saints have feasted on the Senior Bowl over the years. They love to draft players that participated in the Senior Bowl. Most recently was Trevor Penning, who had a great week there in Mobile, and the Saints took him in round one, and we know that has not gone well. I would argue that for me, the Saints' biggest need this year is on the offensive line. I understand Michael Thomas could become a free agent and he could be done in New Orleans. I think he probably is done in New Orleans. But knowing you've got Olave and Rashid Shaheed and other pass catchers, I wouldn't put receiver ahead of offensive line, because you got a bargain basement deal with James Hurst, but he's not your franchise left tackle. Andrews Pete is likely done in New Orleans, and you haven't maximized Trevor Penning or gotten anything out of Trevor Penning. So I would put offensive line as my number one need in this draft. So Ireland was asked about the need on offensive line, in particular where they stand with guys like Trevor Penning and Nick Saldiveri, who they drafted a year ago.
Well, I think you should add young offensive linemen pretty much every year. So, with Trevor and Nick in particular, I think they're really young, developing, high upside players that we're looking forward to, but right now we wish we had a little bit more information on both of them. We wish you could say, hey, these guys, we can plug them in and start. Well, I don't know, we can say that right now. What we do feel about both those players is that they should compete to start and give us really good depth if they don't get there, but we feel like they should be able to compete to start.
It's so interesting watching these highlights from Trevor Penning. If you're watching with us, these are highlights from Penning in the Senior Bowl. And this is what made him so appealing as a left tackle, going against guys from Ohio State and top-tier college football programs. and just bullied them. So, I mean, I was so high on Trevor Penning because even if he didn't work out at tackle, I figured he was mean enough to move inside and be a really good, mauler of an interior player, kind of in the way that Carl Nix was. So the fact that they've got nothing out of him has been so surprising, but Ireland did follow up on Trevor Penning. Here was a little more from Jeff Ireland on Trevor Penning.
Well, he's had one off season. He's from a small school. We feel really good about Trevor. There's some things that he obviously needs to work at, and he knows what those things are. I do feel like there's too good of an athlete, too strong of a player, too many things that he does well that he shouldn't end up developing into a good player. Now, whether that's inside or outside, right or left, those are all going to be determined by his coach. And but I think we've got a good plan and making sure we get the upside out of it. They did add, real quick, one more from with the question here on Penning.
You see him as a player that could potentially shift inside in some form.
It's really not my decision, but yeah, I do think he could.
The question was, could Trevor Penning shift inside? And that's the right answer by Jeff Ireland. Say it's not my decision, but he could. And you would hope he could. I mean, listen, you drafted Andrus Peat with the thought of him being your right tackle, and it didn't work out. He moved in and played guard for a lot of years. He wasn't an all-pro caliber player, but he was a starting caliber player in the league. You drafted Cesar Ruiz as a center, but you had Eric McCoy entrenched there, and so he's played guard. And he hasn't been nearly as effective at guard as he might have been at center, but he's been a durable, available starting caliber player in the NFL. Not a great player, but a starting caliber player. Could you get that out of Trevor Penning? Yes. Now, when you use a first-round pick on someone, you expect them to be a starter day one. They should be a starter. You are drafting a starter when you use a first-round pick. And that hasn't manifested for Trevor Penning, but you got to find a way to maximize it. Maybe he could be a guard. Maybe this is a draft where you take your left tackle at 14 and Penning becomes your left guard, and that becomes the left side of your line for the next half decade. You hope that's the way that this could play out. But in all, we'll see how it does play out. So one more from Jeff Ireland. Can you play number 3, please? It was just a general thought on how this week goes with the Senior Bowl and how, this week could change the way they view a player.
Well, I always say to the players, it's our first opportunity to get to know the player, get to know the person. We know him as a player on the tape, and then getting up close and personal with, his background and getting a little bit deeper into the makeup of what we're looking for in our locker room. So it does change. It does change from, certain aspects of it. We get to learn how a guy learns, how he understands football. That football knowledge and base is extremely important to us as well. So that's how grades change in some cases.
Saints love the Senior Bowl. I mean, they draft Senior Bowl players. I mean, Nick Saldiveri, a year ago out of Old Dominion was a guy that they liked. Trevor Penning was at the Senior Bowl. So chances are they're going to see someone this week in Mobile that they like, that they pick in the draft coming up this spring. Okay, it's after further review. We're glad to have you aboard with us. Pels lose again last night on the road in Boston. It was a close game, down to the wire, and they couldn't finish. Celts finish with a flurry. Our buddy Jake Madison, Locked On Pelicans, will join us next to talk about it.
AFR. It's a raving fan shout-out. Presented by Darren James, brokered by LPT Realty.
You don't have to hear my testimonial anymore. I talked earlier today with Roy Henry and listened to his experience with Darren James.
We interviewed several realtors, and Darren was simply head above the rest. His professionalism, his grasp and use of technology, his infectious energy and preparation just make him exceptional. Matt, our home was on the market for 2 days, and we accepted a really good offer. We were simply blown away. Darren James is a force in real estate.
A force in real estate. Not my words. That's Roy Henry, an actual customer. Darren sold his home in 2 days. Yours could be next. 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com for Darren James.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 Black Widow trucks, $20,000 off new Ram 1500 trucks, and all new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me, like Cyrus stumps.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Countryside. She ain't a fooling me. She thinks my tractor's sexy. It really turns her on. She's always staring at me while I'm chugging along. She likes the way it's pulling while we're
After further review powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
I'm sure some of it is mental because we're having mental breakdowns during the last 5 minutes, but we're continuing to work on it. We'll continue to work on it, watch film on it, execute in practice, but that's the area that we know we have to grow.
Pels blow a 17-point lead on the road in Boston. It was a close game down to the end and just couldn't finish in those final 5 minutes. Jake Madison, Locked On Pelicans. He's on Twitter at NolaJake. Y'all give him a follow. I mean, God does a daily Pelicans podcast. It's friggin' awesome content. We appreciate it as always, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Our pleasure. Let me start, Jake, with a big picture, easy question that may not have an easy answer, or maybe it does. Why has this team struggled against the best teams in the East and the West? I mean, obviously, they're good teams, but there's a pretty clear mark of delineation, right, when they play the elite teams and everybody else.
Yeah, I think when you look at this Pelicans team, right, like they're a talented team that's capable of winning games, getting the one-off game against top-level competition, but there's something holding them back. That's very clear at this point in the season. We're over halfway there. They've blown multiple second-half double-digit leads. Something's going on here, and I think it's a bit of a complex answer. I think you can look at 3 levels with this, right? You can start with the players. You know, in this loss against the Boston Celtics, they turned the ball over a bunch in the final 5 minutes of the game that led to easy buckets for the Boston Celtics. that turns into 0 points for you, 2 to 3 to 4 points for your opponent. That's a very good way to blow a lead very quickly, right? And when you look at the Boston Celtics, down the stretch, they were executing really well compared to the Pelicans, who were playing just sloppy basketball and seemed a little bit lost during that time. And so when you kind of look at these two teams, it comes down to kind of execution. I think with Boston, it's really they've been together. This is a team that's won together a bunch, right? They're leading the league so far this season. They've only lost 2 home games. They've been to an NBA Finals. There's experience there. And while there's experience on the Pelican side of things, this is really the first full season we're getting of Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and CJ McCollum, and they're still kind of figuring some things out. While there's a lot of talent out there on the court, it's just not exactly gelling together in these final 5 minutes of games, and that's, I think, been a problem for them. Maybe that comes with time. Maybe that doesn't, though, and you're starting to run out of time for them to kind of figure some of this stuff out. I think another side of it is coaching. I think you can point the finger at head coach Willie Green and say the rotations and some of the lineup combinations he's been putting out there really don't work in the second half. They've been experimenting, starting with Larry Nance Jr. in place of Jonas Valanciunas in the second half, and they're losing third quarters regularly. So clearly that's not working, but it's something that they seem intent on sticking with for the foreseeable future. When you have a 15 to 20-point lead, you might think it's safe to run a defensive lineup out there. So you'll see them put in Dyson Daniels, Najee Marshall, Herb Jones, but then you stop scoring points. And if that was working, these defensive lineups, you wouldn't be blowing second-half leads like you've been doing, right? If this was something that was actually accomplishing what they want, we wouldn't be having this conversation on the radio right now. And then I think the third level is looking at the front office here. Do these players actually fit well together enough to kind of be a cohesive unit and win long term? And I think that's a bit of an open question right now. So you could point to any of those things and say that's why they're losing some of these games, and all three of them together definitely mean you're going to lose games.
I'm going to come back to those in part each one by one, but let me stick with last night. So Boston's been really good at home, right? I mean, they won their first, 20 games at home this year. How much of last night was just they're really freaking good, man. And they've been really freaking good at home.
Look, it's a little column A, little column B here, right? I think when you look at this, you can take the glass half full approach. And this is what I did to open my show in today's episode, right? They were up 17 on Boston, in Boston, a place where they only have 2 losses, and they're really good and the title favorite, and you took it to that team, and especially in the first half, you executed well. The offense looked cohesive. They were playing off one another well. You weren't turning the ball over. That's the type of half that gives you so much hope about this Pelicans team. That's the type of half, Matt, if I'm being honest with you, that makes you want to emotionally invest in this team here and buy into this team here a little bit. And then they come crashing back down to earth. So it's a mix of, they're good, and Boston's just better than them, but also this is something that's been happening a lot, and you've got to kind of sort some of it out.
He's on Twitter at Nola Jake. Jake, I'm never going to sit here and try to tell anybody I know X's and O's and rotations and who should be where. You alluded to coaching and some of the decisions that they're making, in particular in the third quarter. What, in your opinion, would be a better option for this team coming out of halftime?
I don't know if it's necessarily coming out of halftime. I think you can get by starting Larry Nance Jr. there, and that's something that they want to experiment with, and you need more than 4 or 5 games of data on that to really make a determination. So sticking with that for the foreseeable future, I think, is an okay thing. I think what you've just got to realize is take a look at the landscape of the NBA in 2024, and it's an offense-driven league. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me here, but if you look at the historical best offenses in NBA history in terms of offensive rating, which is points scored per 100 possessions, so it kind of puts everyone on the same level. You're comparing apples to apples that way. I think 15 of the top 25 are playing this season. It's an offensive-driven league, right? You're not going to win with defense. Willie Green is a defensive head coach. He wants to run these defensive lineups and try and grind games out. The problem is that good offense beats good defense right now. And I think good offense beats even better defense right now. You hear guys like Steve Kerr and others kind of lamenting in their post-game press conferences, there's no defense in the league. The league has kind of legislated defense out. Well, if that's the case, you've got to win with offense. You've got to keep trying to pile on the points rather than throwing a defensive lineup out there that maybe will limit the opponent a little bit, but is going to give you 0 points or near 0 points. So I think they need to just lean heavily into offense and try and keep scoring when they have some of these big leads. So that means more minutes for guys like Jordan Hawkins to space the court for Zion Williamson. That means more minutes for guys like Trey Murphy, and trying some of these lineups that, might give up a bucket on the inside, but if you're scoring a 3, you're outscoring your opponent if you're giving up 2s, and that's still going to help you win the game. That's, I think, what they need to try and at least experiment more with, and that's something they're not doing in the second half of games.
Jake, look, I mean, obviously you can never have too much shooting, but do you feel that this team has enough scorers on it to do what you're suggesting?
So that's kind of the million-dollar question here, and that comes down to Brandon Ingram as a player. And I think one of the things you've seen is they've tried to kind of run the offense through him a lot this year, kind of make him your point forward, your point guard. That's worked, but also doesn't work against some of these top teams. And I think one of the things the Pelicans' opponents have realized, particularly in the second half of games, is just wall off the rim, right? Brandon Ingram wants to drive and either try and attack the basket or more likely settle for a mid-range jumper. NBA teams are more than happy to let you take mid-range jumpers, particularly if they're contested, right? Like, that's the shot they want you to take. And you have a guy on this roster who's like, give me all of those.
Yep.
That might work in the playoffs, but you've got to get there in the first place. So I think if you look at kind of building the offense, running point Zion, which we've seen before, which is really effective, they did that against the Utah Jazz last week. They scored 153 points, the most they've ever scored in franchise history. They were 23 for 46 from 3, 50% on a high volume. I think you need to lean into that more, but the problem is you need Brandon Ingram shooting threes, and he's been very inconsistent with the amount of attempts that he's taken this season. If he's not going to space the court like that, Zion runs into a wall of 3, sometimes 4 defenders, can't score efficiently at the rim, and your offense just kind of grinds to a halt, or you're relied on mid-range jumpers, which is just a very inefficient offense and isn't going to win games against top teams. So you've heard a lot about how C.J. McCollum has kind of changed his shot profile this season. He's focused more on open catch-and-shoot threes, off-the-dribble threes to space the court, and you saw that working in the beginning of the game against Boston, and when they stopped shooting threes in the second half, Boston just goes, okay, we'll throw 3 guys at Zion Williamson, and the offense kind of grinds to a halt. So you need another shooter out there on the court with Zion, and when you look at the starting lineup, that guy has got to be Brandon Ingram doing it in volume. He does some nights, he doesn't other nights. When he does, this team looks great. When he doesn't, there's some issues there.
He's on Twitter at Nola Jake, Locked On Pelicans. You could, wherever you get your podcast, search Locked On Pelicans, or if you want to see his beautiful beard, you can go to YouTube. The Locked On Pelicans podcast is right there as well. It is a very beautiful beard, Jake, I have to say. You groom it.
Spend a lot of time, keep it groomed here, you know.
All right, I got 2 more things for you. Let's pull back to the 10,000-foot view. Sure, it's disappointing losing last night when you had a 17-point lead, but I'm looking at a team that just passed the halfway point. You're 26-21, and I know. Look, a week ago you were in the 5 seed, and now you're in the 8 seed as of today. But give me some context on at 26-21 how we should feel about this team at this moment right now.
Yeah, I think you look at them and you think they're a good team. There is a good team here. They are currently, as of today, despite some of these very disappointing losses and losses against some of the top teams in the league, a good team. They should be in the playoffs, right? Anything outside of the playoffs would be a horrific year. Even the play-in tournament would be a disappointment for the Pelicans this season. And I think they're very fully capable of being the 6th seed or better, potentially climbing as high as the 4 seed. Now, if you're the 4th seed, are you going to be a favorite to win the NBA title, to make the conference finals? No. But I think that definitely would be a step in the right direction. Even if they get bounced out of the playoffs in the first round, but they're competitive in that series, depending on the matchup, I think we view that as a step going forward. And as they approach the NBA's trade deadline, they kind of have some decisions they need to make around this. I'm kind of the mindset of don't make a move right now. just see what this team does. They do have some very quality wins. They've gone to Minnesota, beaten that team by a lot on the road, and that team has been one of the top ones in the Western Conference for basically the entirety of the regular season. They've beaten Denver. They completely own the Sacramento Kings. They've beaten OKC without Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram playing. There is a very good team here that I feel is not even close to reaching their full potential. So if they do figure some of that out, the ceiling for this team is higher than a team like Minnesota, I think, or potentially OKC.
All right, before you go, saw today that Dyson Daniels and Jordan Hawkins have both been selected to the Rising Stars game. If you would, just give me a thought on those two young guys and what they mean, what their future will be for this franchise.
Yeah, I think Hawkins, when he was drafted, I called him the best fit of the first round of the NBA draft. He comes to a team that desperately needed shooting. He's the best movement shooter there. One of the things you see him do is work so well off ball and start to develop a little bit of a two-man game with Zion Williamson. If they do want to go with point Zion and you need more shooting around him, this is one of the most perfect guys to do it. One of the biggest compliment you can give him this season right now is he's already on opponent scouting reports. They don't give him an inch of space right now. For a rookie that's, under 50 games into his NBA career, to kind of be a focal point of defenses, I think really says a lot about him. Dyson Daniels getting in there, kind of being one of those next wave of international players and some of the elite defense that he gives you, I think shows that he can be a very talented player in this league. And I think both of those guys kind of filling different roles on this Pelicans team speaks to some of the depth that they have here and trying to build around the 3 stars, 2 stars, and Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, and CJ McCollum.
Next up, Pels take on the Rockets there in Houston. Make sure you're subscribed up on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Just search Locked On Pelicans. Locked On Pelicans. He's on Twitter at Nola Jake. He is Jake Madison. Jake, we appreciate it, man. Thanks as always for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on.
All right, man. Be well. It is After Further Review. Tuesday show is powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. We'll now get a quick break, and we'll continue a couple of honors for a couple of LSU baseball players we'll talk about coming up. And Jimmy's here in 15 minutes for Otter Lock. See if we get on track. Muse, my 4-legger.
Mm-hmm. I know which one got you, too.
Nobody cares about my bets. Just like I don't care about your bets, right? I mean, that's kind of how it goes. Like everyone talks about their bets, nobody cares. But there was a DraftKings boost last night. It's like, I'll throw together a 4-leg money line parlay. First one.
Bang.
Give me a bang. Give me a bang, Muse. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Come on. Second leg. Third leg. Fourth leg. Man.
Hey, we're going to do the dings.
I was going to get there. Wait on, just be patient. It's a dance, Muse. You do the dance. Fourth game, we have the 76ers, big favorites. Got it, for sure. And Muse said, hey, Joel Embiid's not playing. Whatever. 8-point favorites. They got it. They're playing the Blazers. Yeah. They stink. The Blazers are so bad, they're giving Duop Reith minutes. They're terrible. They got it.
He's playing well, chill.
They got it. They don't got it. There you go, Muse. That's doing the dance. Got it?
Star players, man. They do matter, no matter who's on the other side.
Deep Thoughts by Matthew Muse.
There you
go. Let me wait. Take that.
Write that down. Write that down.
What was it again?
Star players. They do matter.
Matter. Got it, Muse.
No matter who's on the other side.
Star players matter.
There you go.
Got it. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Action Industries, an official partner of LSU Athletics. This season, out at the box, if you're getting out to Alec Box Stadium, when the LSU offense is getting going, the old pitching coach makes the slow waltz out to the mound, as Condon would say, leave him in, take him out, whoop, woo. That pitching change will be brought to you by Action Industries. Hey, go to the website. If you're a maintenance manager, maintenance coordinator, turnaround manager, Action Industries wants to talk to you. Since 1982, those dozens of petrochemical plants up and down the river, that means so much to our state. Action Industries has done work in those plants. And their safety record is above the industry standard, and their work is exceptional. It's how they've been in business for more than 40 years. It's Action Industries. Action, INDINC.com for Action Industries.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Happy New Year from your friends at Front to Back Boat Service. And what better way to kick off your new year than by taking your boat to the next level? Get the boat of your dreams, and that's where Front to Back comes into play. You want that spot lock trolling motor that's going to keep you right there on the water where you need to be. How about some forward-facing sonar that actually shows you the fish before you even cast? Custom stereo jobs, all of it. Sherman family's been doing it for 38 years. Go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
She thinks my tractor's sexy. It really turns her on. She's always staring at me.
After further review powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Man, that one sounds good, Muse.
Thought you might like that one.
Feel like I've heard this one before. Have you played this one yet?
Yeah, we've played it at least once a week.
Okay.
On Tuesdays, yeah.
I don't know if you played it once a week. Maybe like once before. Maybe.
I try to work it in. It's a classic. A ditty.
I don't know. It feels sort of familiar, but not entirely. All right, we'll get to Otterlocks. Sunnyquip.com. Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Need that zero-turn mower? Hunters, you want your Gator? Tractors, you what? Farmers, you need a big old combine. You know who's the best. You'll never hear no country song about anything other than a deer. You better believe it. That's why the whole studio is green on Tuesdays. John Deere. Nothing runs like a deer. Go to sunnyquip.com, sunnyquip.com. Oh, we got some breaking news, Muse. Breaking news. I know this is going to floor you, fellas. Pete Carmichael, fired by the New Orleans Saints.
I remember that.
Is employed again.
Oh.
Turns out he's heading west to join his former boss, Sean Payton, the Denver Broncos. Stunning news.
Are you kidding?
I know you're floored.
What?
Calm down. He joins Joe Lombardi, Zach Strief, Declan Doyle, John Morton, Mike Westhoff, Joe Vitt, Michael Wilhoit, and Dan Dalrymple as other former Saints assistants to join Sean Payton there in Denver. Shocking breaking. Oh, wait. Oh, Muse, we have more breaking news coming in right now. More breaking news coming in. I know this is going to shock you, Muse.
What you got?
5:40.
Yep.
It's after 4:20. Muso is high. Breaking news. It's going to shock you. Paulie, don't fall out of your chair there.
You don't.
Make sure you stay in your chair, Paul. I need you the rest of the way. It's going to be a strong finish here with the Otter coming up here for. Oh, wait, we've got more breaking news.
More.
Yeah. Wait, I'm checking just to make sure that this is right. Breaking news, Muse. Breaking news, Muse.
What do you have?
I'm just asking you to interact with me. Damn it! Why is it so hard for you? Just interact with me. Breaking news, Muse.
What you got?
Muse. If this is correct, Michael Thomas doesn't like Derek Carr.
Ooh, big if true.
Oh, big if true.
Big if true.
I'm going to tell you what. It's a newsy segment it's
It
turned
is.
out to be here.
And in fact, there's more breaking news coming in right now. I know that might be hard for you to believe, but
I would love to hear it.
Breaking news: Arby's has the meats.
Oh, you don't say.
They do.
Here all this time, I thought they were a veggie garden. Arby's has the meats?
They do.
Gotta be kidding me. Well, you know what? I see your Arby's. Muse, I got more bread. Like, this is unbelievable. Are you paying attention to the news wire over there?
It's just refreshing
It's like
constantly.
Morse code.
It's wild.
Muse, breaking news. Karen wants to speak to the manager.
Oh, whew.
Can you believe it?
No.
I thought she was just going to be a very pleasant woman sitting at her table enjoying her dinner, but no. Karen has to talk to the manager.
Something went horribly wrong with Karen.
Oh, my goodness. Pete Carmichael to the Broncos. Anyway, Pete Carmichael to the Broncos. No surprise to anybody. I think I'm pretty sure we talked about that on the air, but then again, who didn't talk about Pete Carmichael going to the Broncos? This was as sure a thing as me pooping tomorrow morning. Pretty regular. Was that gross? Should I not have gone there?
No. I mean, look, it's natural. It's a bodily function that everybody does. And, I mean, a lot of people do it in the morning. I think the more surprising thing is that Sean Payton actually waited 2 weeks to make this move.
That is actually a point. Good point. Metamucil every day. Done it every day since I was about 25 years old. Every day. I mean, you want to talk about regular, clean, nothing to it? Highly recommend. I don't care how young or old you are. Started when I was 25. Every day. Vitamins in my Metamucil. It ain't just for old people. Muse, you should get on it. You're 30 now.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Man, rub it in.
The rallies get harder.
Cool.
Once that first number hits 3. Wait till it hits 4, Muse.
Yeah, they do. They really do. I still feel 23 a lot of the time. Then I wake up the next morning and I am just not.
Are you sure you're not feeling?
Yes, I'm positive.
22. Speaking of which, the AFC Championship game featuring Taylor's boyfriend averaged 55.473 million viewers. The most watched AFC Championship game ever.
About that.
The Taylor effect.
53. What did you say? 53?
55.
55.3?
473.
Or is it a 3? I knew there was a 3.
The most watched Super Bowl ever was the 28-3 Super Bowl. 123.94 million. This will beat it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
This will beat it. If for nothing else, the Taylor Swift effect, on top of Chiefs dynasty, Niners, one of the most historic franchises in the NFL. You obviously get the West Coast audience there with the Niners in a top market. Patrick Mahomes, who obviously has risen to superstardom. As much as people say they're like, I think as football fans, we were kind of cheering for the Lions, right? I mean, they were a sentimental favorite, right? I think we were probably all pulling for Detroit in that game.
Absolutely.
So as much as we were kind of emotionally pulling for Detroit isn't interesting to the masses. To football fans, yes. But remember, the Super Bowl is going to draw 120 million viewers. They need the casual viewer to come. And I know you think, well, who doesn't watch the Super Bowl? We're a nation of 700 million people, and 100 million people watch this. Meaning 6 out of 7 people in this country don't watch the Super Bowl. As much as you sit here and think, who doesn't watch the Super Bowl? Way more people don't watch it than do. So how do you bring the casual observer in? Well, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce and all the other stuff, commercials, Usher, all the stuff that goes around it. What?
I'm excited for the commercials now. I like Super Bowl
commercials.
commercials.
Sucked lately, man. When was the last time we had like a great year of Super Bowl commercials?
A great year, a while, but they have those 1 or 2 that just stand out every year that are awesome.
Oh, Patrick Mahomes in a basketball uniform there in high school. Just looked up at the TV and saw it. All right, it's after further review. Let me knock out our final break of the show. We'll come back. We'll do Otter Locks. Jimmy will be here. Stick around, AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Pluckers. Hey, speaking of Super Bowl, it's a week from Sunday. If you need a place to watch the Super Bowl, Pluckers. And I want to remind you also, this is preemptive, but just planting the seed. Pluckers will take pre-orders for the Super Bowl. So, don't call Pluckers an hour before the Super Bowl and try to order 200 wings. It's just not going to work out. But if you're having a game watch party at your house and you want Pluckers wings, you can call them several days in advance, reserve your order, and the time you want to pick it up, and they'll have it ready for you. They've got the system down like clockwork. So we'll tell you more as we get closer. But anyway, it's Tuesday. Every Tuesday, kids eat free at Pluckers. Parents, adults, buy your entree. Kids eat free at Pluckers every Tuesday. And you've got sports trivia with our guy Hunt Palmer, a.k.a. Hoot Palmario. That's at the Nicholson location every Tuesday, 8:30. Get on by, eat wings, drink beer, test your sports knowledge, win Pluckers gift cards. It's at Pluckers. Nicholson, Bluebonnet, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery. Remember, it's Pluckers if you don't like our wings. We'll give you the bird.
Join MMR and ignite your career today. MMR is the largest electrical and instrumentation contractor in the nation, and they're seeking talented individuals to join their team. For over 3 decades, they've been headquartered right here in Baton Rouge, and they have offices all around the globe.
And MMR offers a tailored path for both professional and personal development, outstanding benefits, and a dynamic culture. So whether you're an intern, a seasoned pro, or you're just starting out, see what MMR can offer you. Apply at mmrgrp.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 Black Widow trucks, $20,000 off new Ram 1500 trucks, and all new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. the local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Down the stretch, we come final segment here on a Tuesday edition of AFR. One thing left to do. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable and often incomprehensible, the Ott Father himself, Jimmy Ott. Otter, how are you?
Doing good, Matt. Apologized yesterday. Talked to Musso. DK had 5, but there were 4.5 out there, and you know the rule. And so, sorry about that last night.
Well, that's what it is, man. 4.5.
Yeah.
You'd have bought it to 4 and you'd have pushed, but that's okay. We were on Houston laying 5 against Texas. Game went to overtime, and Houston ends up winning about 4 in overtime. But that's all right, man. Hey, it's part of the game, man.
Yeah. All right, let's get to it tonight. I got a few of them for you. TCU at Texas Tech. 2 good teams in the Big 12. TCU is at home. I like them a little bit better. I think this short line should be about 6 or 7. -4, -105. I think it's at DraftKings.
Yes, sir.
Number. Okay. Next one is unranked team, favored over a ranked team. It's Villanova and Marquette. -2.5. Buy it down to 2. You know the drill.
All right, so we're looking at Nova -2.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And looking at spot, North Carolina, they got Duke this Saturday. Going to Atlanta, little sleepy spot. Big public play on North Carolina. Everybody's plowing in on, so they're pretty hot as of late. With a little slippery slope here today. Georgia Tech plus the 8.5 at home against North Carolina. Not buying it to 9, just up to 6.5. That's it.
All right, so Georgia Tech plus 8.5. They're at home against North Carolina.
Yes.
Okay.
And Hanny and I agree on this one. He
Okay.
brought it up today, too. Although Ole Miss was more of a, there were 8-point dogs against Texas A&M Saturday, and State was 3-point dogs against Tennessee. Still a big, I'm not against Tennessee, against Auburn, top 10 Auburn. It's a bigger win for them. On the road, Ole Miss is taking care of business at home. Sort of the theme, not just in the SEC, for the entire college basketball. -1 at home, short, should be about 4 or 5. Taking the Rebels -1, I believe it's -105 at DraftKings.
It is. All right, so those 4, we've got TCU -4, Villanova -2, buy the half a point. Georgia Tech plus 8.5. Do not buy the half point. And then Ole Miss laying a point at home in the Egg Bowl on the hardwood. So TCU, Villanova, Georgia Tech, and Ole Miss. That's our 4-pack tonight from the Otter on Otter Locks.
Yeah, one more time, 1.5 to 6.5. Whether you're laying or catching, you buy the half a point. But that's it.
All right, Otter, where are you tomorrow, man?
We are at Snow, Seafood, and Steak.
Very good. Any early Super Bowl plays or thoughts on the line? A little bit of movement there.
Considering this Kelsey proposal and hitting first touchdown, will Kelsey parlay, huh?
Wait, is there a parlay that, or I'm sorry, a prop bet that he's going to propose?
Plus 450.
You know what? Who is it? Hey, remind me. Every year you have somebody on that's like the Super Bowl prop bet king.
The prop. Oh, yeah. Paul Bovey will be with us via Mexico this year.
Okay.
So we'll have fun. Yeah.
I mean, that's the guy who doles out like a dozen prop bets, and he knows them all. So, go ahead.
Well, but Matt Humans does it, too.
Okay.
Matt will do it next Thursday. He's on every Thursday afternoon at 12:30. he'll do that with us. Wes Reynolds will have a few. Andy Disco will have a few. But Paul Bobie is sort of a prop specialist that I bring on for the Super Bowl, too.
We'll look forward to it. All right, Otter, thank you. Have a great show tomorrow.
Hey, good luck.
All right, we'll see you. That's Jimmy Ott. This is After Further Review. We're brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com, with more than 30 offices across 11 different states. The way I say it is if you weigh or measure something, they sell, service, rent the products you use to weigh and measure. At Michelli, we show the world what measurement can do. They offer ISO 17025 accreditation. I say it often. If you don't know what it means, it doesn't matter. If you know what it means, you know why it's so important, and they do it. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. On-site calibration is available if you have items or products that cannot leave or you don't want to leave. Michelli Weighing and Measurement. They can do on-site calibration. Check them out online. Apply for a career online at Michelli.com. That's Michelli.com for Michelli Weighing and Measurement. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. Been a really good show. We appreciate you for being here. One of the things we did not get to, and we will continue to ramp up our baseball coverage as we get closer and closer here to opening day. Two LSU Tigers named preseason All-Americans today. Tommy White, Luke Holman, both named first-team preseason All-Americans by D1 Baseball. Tommy White, of course, LSU starting third baseman, one of the heroes of the College World Series. Luke Holman, was a third-team preseason All-American by D1 Baseball. He was Alabama's ace a year ago, coming into LSU this year, and figures to factor in a really big role in LSU's rotation. So we'll talk plenty more baseball as we inch closer to opening day. All right, it's going to do it for us. Muse, Paulie, thanks. Y'all have an awesome night. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, I get to remind you about the Williamson Eye Center. Call 924-2020, 924-2020. If you want to see 2020, call 924-2020. And listen, I know what I tell you all the time is let me be the push. Let me be the nudge that you need. In some of your cases, it's let me grab you by the ankle and yank you into their office. But being a nudge or a yank, call the Williamson Eye Center. Just go for the consultation with Dr. Blake Williamson. But beyond that, it's not just that the Williamson Eye Center is, performs refractive procedures. It's that they do them better than anyone, and not just anyone in Baton Rouge or Louisiana, but anybody in the country. They were named an EVO ICL Practice of Distinction this year at the Star Surgical Awards in Dallas. It's the Williamson Eye Center. Call 924-2020. 924-2020 for the Williamson Eye Center.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
We're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.